Welcome in, and that was uneventful. And the criticism today raining down on both Matt Lafleur and Jordan Love will determine if it's justified or not. 40-40. It just doesn't feel right. It feels like the Cowboys got a win and the Packers took a loss. That's what it feels like, to be perfectly honest with you. Welcome in on a Green and Gold Monday. A Green and Gold Monday in which the Green Bay Packers lose, it feels like, to the Dallas Cowboys, a game that many people picked them to basically, quote, boat race them, and including yours truly. I said 35-17. I was close on the 35 part. The 17 was ghastly. Micah Parsons feels like the defense didn't come together and let him down. He was double and triple teamed a lot in that ball game. They moved him around as much as they could, but he could not be the one-man wrecking crew. I tell you what, the significant moment in that game was, defensively speaking, was when Devontae Wyatt went down. When Wyatt went down, that was significant because the push up the middle was nowhere near what it was with Devontae Wyatt actually in the game. And after that, they were able to run the football. Not a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott did an amazing job because, and he gets made fun of, and I do it too, a lot, because he can't win in the postseason. But in the regular season, he'll take you point A to point B all day long. He's always going to be that guy that could be in the discussion for an MVP. He's a guy that can be talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in all of football, but he just hasn't been able to do it in the postseason. He folds like a cheap suit. He'll always throw that inopportune pick. So as much praise that's going to be heaped upon Dak Prescott this season, let's just wait till the postseason gets here, because he's a tremendous quarterback from 1 through 17 when he's healthy. But in the grand scheme of things, the Packers failed last night. And the criticism, I went back and watched that game this morning. I got up at about 6:30, 6:45, and I started watching the replay. And some of the criticism that came last night from fans, no, it's not there. It's the emotional side of things. And I get it. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just saying, hey, there's reality to this. But where they did fail is down the stretch. And I know Matt, and we're going to hear Matt LaFleur's presser from last night, but Matt LaFleur, for all intents and purposes, took the bullet last night for Jordan Love. And again, I'm not the one sitting here jumping on the Jordan Love negativity bandwagon because he played a tremendous game, but you can't throw that pass to Josh Jacobs on the out. You have to throw an incomplete pass at that point. You don't want to lose yardage, and you certainly didn't want to lose that amount of time. The sense of urgency, Matt LaFleur's waving his arm. You can see him like yelling, hurry up. It's like they just don't understand the urgency. That's on your quarterback. I was listening this morning just to make sure I wasn't crazy. I'm listening this morning to, again, Boomer Esiason talk about it. I'm listening to the guys on Get Up talk about it. I was watching Good Morning Football. I was watching the postgame show last night with Chris Sims. They're all saying the same thing. You got to understand the situation. You can't just sit there and watch tick, 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 tick. You should have had 2 or 3 plays left in that ball game. And you didn't. And that's part of that is being a smart quarterback in that particular moment. So you got to be better. You got to be that leader. You got to be the guy to wrangle them up. The coach can scream and yell on the sideline and tell you in your ear, get him to the line all you want. But if you don't do it and you don't understand the meaning of that particular situation, that's on you. That's on you. You wouldn't have seen Josh Allen do it. You wouldn't have seen Patrick Mahomes do it. You wouldn't have seen Aaron Rodgers do it. They're all veterans. I get it. Now you've been in this particular circumstance. So hopefully you grow from this. And they started to use the excuse this morning of, well, they're still a young team. My ass, okay? At what point are you no longer young? You're getting ready. A lot of these guys are getting ready for the second contract. You can't say young anymore. Young in age only, not in experience. So let's just stop that. But that is last night, and I know Ebo used this in the morning show. I was listening as the end of the show came about, but that was like Donnie and Marie kissing each other. It's brother and sister, and it's like, who cares? It's just you don't play for a tie. I don't like ties in football anyway. I'm not going to get on that bandwagon about harping about it, but you don't tie. You got to play on. But the Green Bay Packers had bunches of opportunities to win that game last night. I went back and watched that thing this morning. I'm thinking, you make a play here, you get a tackle there, you don't have a blown coverage here. It's just playing 9-12 yards off the ball when they need when all they need is 7 yards down the field. I just, Halfley last night, I don't know what he was doing unless he just didn't have faith in his second, because they were mixing and matching. Nate Hobbs was awful. Last night. So they moved Carrington Valentine outside, and he was no better, marginally better. And if you notice, Dak Prescott just did not want to throw in Keyshawn Nixon's direction when he didn't have to. But Nate Hobbs was awful last night. Terrible, to say the very least. And that leads us right into, oh, by the way, Rich Bisaccia, you should be giving some of your money back. You're terrible. You are terrible. When you start to amount five now special teams penalties, a blocked field goal that could have won you a ball game, a blocked PAT that turned the tide of a ball game, 2 big returns last night, and a Deebo Samuel return in the Washington game. That's your special teams. They're a comedy of errors. We got to clean this up. We got to look at the tape. We got to get better. We got to practice. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing to earn your money? That's what you're supposed to be, as the special teams coach. The assistant head coach, all that kind of stuff, yada, yada. I'm your buddy. Who cares? Your special teams units suck. They're terrible. They are absolutely awful and embarrassing because now granted, there has been a lot of blocked field goals, a lot of blocked kicks throughout the National Football League. Special teams units, they're getting better at it. But that means as a special teams coach, you should be getting better at it as well. And you're not. You're the victim. Every week, we can look forward to where's going to be the holding penalty, where's going to be the block in the back, where's going to be the block field goal, where's going to be the big run back, the momentum shifter. You go down and score, and you get the stop out of the gate. You go down and score on the next drive, and you're like, okay, we've kind of regained control of this thing. And what do? Bam, your special teams allow a 47-yard return. And just all the momentum, you could just feel it suck right out of the building that you just built up. You quieted the crowd. You put the Cowboys back to where they rolled their eyes a little bit. That's not a great football team. And your special teams allowed them to hang around not once, but then again twice in the overtime when they need to be at their best. Just absolutely positively sucks, without a doubt. So that's where we're at today. We're going to talk about all of this. In the national criticism, sometimes I take offense to it. It's what's going on in our own backyard, and you kind of feel a pride about it, so you don't want other people. It's kind of like, he ain't heavy, he's my brother. You can call your brother fat, but nobody else can. But now today I woke up and I started listening to some of the criticism, and it opened my eyes. And I went, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, I can see that. Oh, I didn't realize it was that bad. Because, we're kind of the same way. We're passionate. Everybody's got to be fired, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and then you're kind of like, well, wait a minute. The next day you wake up, you got a little bit calmer head about you, and you want to look at things in a different light. Today I woke up, and I'm still trying to be the realistic guy. And it was like the more I watched, the more I listened, and then I went back and watched the game, the more pissed off I got. A lot of the now, granted, the penalties, they went from 14 down to 7. They had a couple that weren't accepted. Okay. That got a little bit better. Maybe there's progress there. You kind of looked at it optimistically and say, well, now they go to the bye week. Maybe they'll get a little healthier. Now you can take all the problems that have been kind of plaguing you in a very fast open to the season where you've had, kind of a whirlwind. You had the opener. Then you had the game on Thursday night. You get a little bit of a reprieve. You're trying to get healthy. Then you got a game in Cleveland in which you took a little bit too lightly. And then you got a game in Dallas in which your defense didn't show up. You had key players that just didn't play well. And you had, again, mismanagement of the game. Oh, by the way, that's a whole calamity of errors. And I'm sure Ed Policy is sitting up there with a checklist going, can get it done, can't get it done, can't get it done, can get it done, can't get it done. And you're going to see how many pros and cons line up at the end of the season as to whether or not certain people have jobs. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do it. Do it. If you want to text us, 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. If you want to hit us up via YouTube and watch the program, we always appreciate it when you do. Go to youtube.com. That's youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us there. We're always appreciative when you do. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can track us down on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. We're on the Twitter. By the way, that is also under The Bill Michaels Show. The Bill Michaels Show. You can also find us over on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. The app is Wisco Sports Zone. Wisco Sports Zone. You can track us down, listen to us anywhere and everywhere there. We're on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts. We are the largest sports downloaded program in the state of Wisconsin. I did not know that. I was told that this weekend. I'm kind of like, okay, cool. That's kind of nice. Like it. Thank you very much for doing that for us. And then you can find us on My24 TV. That is My24 TV in Milwaukee on Saturday nights. So that is all the different platforms you can find us on. There you go. Grant Bills, how was your day today?
My day's been very good. As I was joking with Ebo a little bit this morning, if we're able to just take a couple steps back, and I know it's tough as Packers fans, like what an incredible football game and an entertaining football game. And I think maybe an example of why the NFL is great, because even on a night where it seems like one team is so poised and positioned to blow out the other, it often doesn't happen that way. And ties suck, but they're also kind of funny. Like when I'm watching two teams struggle to beat each other, it's kind of funny to watch them tie. So I almost wish I got to watch last night's game as like a third party, because I think I would have enjoyed it more. But you kind of hit on everything in your opening comments. What to you is the biggest thing? Is it Lafleur and Love at the end? Is it Bisaccia? Is it the defense?
I think the two big things that were glaring was Bisaccia's special teams suck. And there's no way around it. And I could not get when I watched the quick out pass to Josh Jacobs, he had about 7 yards as Jordan Love began to wind up and throw that pass. But you saw the corner who was playing back not to allow something to get behind him. He watched Jordan Love. And the minute Jordan Love looked in that direction, you can see him break on the ball to make a 2-yard loss, tackle behind the line of scrimmage. And at that point in time, you're Jordan Love. You've got to see that. And he's got to throw the ball out of bounds. And I know Matt Lafleur tried to poo-poo it by going, well, we don't want to lose the down in the distance. Why didn't we clock the ball? But but then it's third, and you're in fourth down territory anyway if you're trying to win the game. So, and you're already there to kick a field goal. Who cares? I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And so to me, you got to be smarter. And you know what? And the last time I went down this road, I was kind of by myself last year when they lost in the postseason. And I was they went as far as to accuse me of being racist because he's a black quarterback. And I said, no, it's just, I see things where at times the football acumen isn't there. And I'm not saying he's stupid, because he's not. And maybe this was this first time. I can't remember another time in which they're playing to get out of an overtime game to not play for a tie. So this is his first attempt at this. This is going to be a learning moment. But you gotta know. You can't throw that pass and then have your guys lackadaisically get back to the line of scrimmage and waste, I think it was like a total of 17 seconds.
It's a lot of time.
That's two plays. And they do that.
They ran 20-something seconds off before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
Like, again, if you go down and score a touchdown, it doesn't matter if there's time left on the clock. The game's over. So it's not like you're trying to score and not leave any time. You're just trying to score. So last night, everyone's barbecuing Matt Lafleur, and I'm getting ready to go to bed. And I'm like, well, Matt Lafleur takes some blame here, but Jordan Love makes all the money, and it's his third year as a starter. He's got to carry a lot of this responsibility too. So I don't know if it's 50-50, but it's not just all on Matt Lafleur. And then I watched Matt LaFleur's postgame, and he's like, well, obviously the play calls sucked. It's like, well, hey, man, if you're going to own up to that, then okay, like I'll agree with you, then don't run little outs and little things into the flat, because when Jordan Love was allowed to push the ball down the field last night, he did a really good job. Right. But make no mistake about it, he's got to understand that situation and get his guys moving too. That can't just be on Matt LaFleur.
I watched that post-game presser, and you're in the moment, and you've got, last night on the stream was just packed. I mean, depending on what platform you were on, it was just packed. We had thousands of people watching, and people are just coming at you with Love sucks and Lafleur sucks, and it's his demeanor, and he can't coach, and he can't take you to the promised land, and the play calling sucked. And I went through all of that last night, and I went through it again this morning. In the first half, because like Gerard calls, it's the gadgetry. He can't coach. Actually, the gadgetry stopped after they ended up getting the PAT blocked. And oh, by the way, on the gadgetry, they scored. So I'm not going to blame them in that particular area. The play calling wasn't bad. The play calling wasn't the issue, because they tried to take a shot downfield, and I saw what he was talking about where they had coverage over the top. They couldn't get the ball downfield. They wanted to, they couldn't. So I see some of these things, but I'm watching, and I'm like, Jordan Love is on point. Jordan Love had a hell of a game until it came time to be the $55 million man. And he's a deer in a headlight. And the problem is, and I'm not going to say this is wholly it, and maybe I'm putting too much emphasis, when they show Matt Lafleur and he's looking like either, are you kidding me, or, oh my God, everybody sees that. The world sees that. You can see Dan Campbell, he kind of keeps that frustrated, hard, squinching his eyes a little bit, like, I'm pissed off look. Matt Lafleur, there's times he looks like his mouth is agape, and he looks angry, but he's like marching and talking to himself, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is where the inspiration of men come into it, and I know Mike Clemens talks about what he is behind closed doors, but publicly what people see is the same thing your players see, So, and it's not that he doesn't have a total lack of control of his team, and, because all these different accusations being fired, and there's no reality to this to a lot of people. They just want to vent and piss all over everything. That's
especially
not it.
Today. Yeah, for the first 24 hours, people are just going to yell.
But that's not it. It's that there are crucial moments in crucial periods of time where the coach earns his money and the highest paid player earns his money. And last night, both of them failed. And that's one of those things when people say he can't coach. No, he can coach. He can coach his ass off. It's just in big moments, can you coach better than the guy across from you? Can you do something better than what the guy across from you is doing? And last night they couldn't. And again, they couldn't. And for a long time, you rely upon Aaron Rodgers to cover those things up until he didn't. He didn't do it in the game against Tampa Bay. He didn't do it in the game against San Francisco. And he didn't do it in his final appearance against the Lions when they're trying to get in. Aaron Rodgers didn't cover it up because Aaron Rodgers made mistakes too. So I'm not laying all of this at the feet of Jordan Love either, because Rodgers, a veteran, has done this as well. But at times when the money is on the line and you're making the money, that's when you need to grab the effing money. And this team fails at that more often than not. More often than not, in big moments, they fail at that. And you know what? You know how I know that? Is because I'm sitting there at the end of the game, holding my breath, and in the back of my mind, I'm knowing they're either going to tie or lose this game. You knew it. Because the faith isn't there, because we haven't seen enough of it to say, boy, there you go. There you go. This team kicks ass when they're front runners. This team's ass puckers when all the chips are on the line. What last night was the absolute microcosm epitome of this. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, please feel free to go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. It is a Green and Gold Monday, and we got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next. Ready?
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's disappointing in regards to just too many critical mistakes that led to that tie. Give Dallas credit. They did a great job offensively, moving the ball down the field. But there's a lot of things that we all have to clean up, starting with myself. I mean, we're trying to be aggressive at the end of the half, and that really bit us in the butt.
The words of Matt Lafleur. We'll hear his entire presser coming up here in the bottom. Stay tuned for that.
Come on, 6 o'clock news says somebody been shot. Somebody's been abused. Somebody blew up.
This is one of the epitomes of what drives me nuts. Now, David says, listening to the show before that you came on, they were commenting about how little time special teams has to prepare and a practice. They also said that the coaches around the league basically said the same thing, that special teams hardly gets any time to practice compared to the defense. Okay, which is fine. I understand that. Tell me why other special teams against the Green Bay Packers are successful and the Green Bay Packers are not. If they all get the same amount of time, tell me that. I'll wait. Because you can't. Some people get it, some don't. Some people target specific things to fix and or things to exploit, and others don't. But if that's the excuse, then tell me why other teams have seen things and done things to beat the Green Bay Packers special teams if everybody's getting the same amount of practice time. And I'll say this, and this, I was listening to Rob Gronkowski in his podcast. This is something that I really took to heart. Bill Belichick, and I hate to use him as the example, but let's be honest. I mean, he's considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. Bill Belichick, if something was wrong, he would scrap practice until that was fixed, and they ran it right 10 straight times with no flaws. So you never effed it up again. He would do that consistently. So if that's the case, and you're worried about all these other things, and yet your special teams is your Achilles heel, and you're just going to hope it gets fixed miraculously because you're not going to spend any time on it, then that's the ineptitude of a head coach who doesn't understand. I'm not saying that's Matt Lafleur. I'm just saying if that's the excuse, then you should not be a head coach in the National Football League. You have to fix your problems. Problems don't just go away. You have to fix them, especially if they consistently rear their ugly head. 2 weeks in a row now. 2 weeks in a row. I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, watching the end of the Bears game. And the field goal that the Raiders kicked prior to the blocked kick was within a fingertip of getting blocked. And I said to him, watch that, because if it comes down to a field goal, they're going to block it. Unless they fix that and the coaches upstairs saw that, because they're going to block that. And it reminded me a lot of the San Francisco game against the Green Bay Packers. The first time they didn't get it, the second time they got it. And damned if it didn't happen again, because they saw something. They saw a weakness where one guy can exploit another guy. So to say that it's not something that, well, we don't have time to practice, well, then shame on you, man. Shame on you. If you don't have control enough of your team to, I'm not saying grab guys by the face mask, but to gather them together and say, look, I'm going to put people out here who want to win. I'm going to make sure that this isn't going to become problematic. And I'm going to fix this. You got to have balls to do this, man. To stand up to grown-ass men and say, this needs to be fixed. The same problems cannot rear their ugly head week after week after week. And then for you just to go, well, we don't have enough time to practice it. Can't do that, man.
Yeah, I tweeted before the game last night, because the Bears game ended with a blocked field goal.
Right.
And I was annoyed because everyone's like, man, there's something in the water this year. There's something. What's all these blocked field goals? No, it's inattention to detail. It's not taking the effort and the time that's needed to be good at those little things. It's we don't need to worry about that. It's just a field goal. That's what it is. And if you can't do that stuff right, then you're not a serious contender, right? Because you can't win multiple playoff games in a row. And I love your comparison to Belichick. That stuff would never happen with the Patriots.
Nope.
Ever. When they were in their prime and on their run, those issues would never come up because they were dialed in on that stuff. And way too many teams, including the Packers, are not right now. And
the guys that are the leaders are going to have to also be the guys that are now going to have to be the vocal leaders. That was the other thing that Gronk talked about. He said, on offense, it was Brady, and he got in guys' asses. He said he wasn't there to make friends. He wasn't there to be your buddy. They all became buddies, but he wasn't there to be your buddy. He got in your ass and let you know it, whether it was in practice or at a game. And we've seen Tom's blow-ups on the sidelines before, screaming and yelling at guys. We've seen that. Now, maybe it's a little over the top, and that's who he is, but you saw it. And defensively, they said it was Teddy Bruschi. Teddy Bruschi would light people up. And so I would assume the Micah Parsons, him and between him and Xavier McKinney, those are the two guys that need to lead that side of the football. But it's got to be your leaders. It's got to be the guys that stay. It's got to be a guy like who's emerged, like Tucker Kraft. It's like Elton Jenkins. Boy, Elton Jenkins got shoved around. To me, the Elton Jenkins experiment, moving him to center, yeah, he can do it, but can he do it well? I tell you what, I think they weakened two spots by trying to fix one.
I think in 2 or 3 weeks, he'll be fine. It looks like to me, I don't know, man, maybe you could have used some reps at camp. Maybe messing around at a strip club and getting the cops called. Like maybe you could have used some reps at center to get those little fine-tuned things down. That's what I see with Elton Jenkins right now. You held out for more money because they wanted to make you overpaid at a position that's easier. And then you didn't practice at all. And now you're like, well, there's some differences between guard and center. I would have guessed that. Well, that's what the practice is for.
He talks about his aggressiveness. He can't be as aggressive. Now, I get it because you're actually doing something. So, rather than just kind of waiting for the ball to be snapped to go out and get the guy across from you or whatever it is your assignment happens to be. But it's just like, how come you can't be aggressive once your duty of snapping the ball is over? I don't understand necessarily how that much changes who you are. So, and again, maybe we'll, Mike Clemens will, dig into that a little bit, down the road. But regardless, it just, there's a lot of excuses and not a lot of fixes to the problems that we're seeing. And that's the unfortunate side of things. right now. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Matt Lafleur, you're going to, I want to hear, because we didn't listen to it entirely last night. I want to hear the entirety of this. And then I also want to listen to Jordan Love. And then there's a whole lot more coming out of the Packers locker room from last night. Mike Clemens caught up with a lot of dudes last evening who were not happy, we'll say, about, and Mike put it, I saw Mike's post last night. It's like one team feels like they defended their home turf and they feel good about themselves. Even though they didn't win the game, they don't play for a tie, but they feel good about where they're at. And another team that feels like they've just gone 0-2. Now they're going into the bye week. And for where they were talking about, undefeated seasons and Super Bowls, suddenly reality has punched them in the face and they're nowhere near as good as they thought they were. And they're really kind of down on themselves. So we'll do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show on a Green and Gold Monday. Stay tuned. This portion of it brought to you by our good friends over there at J&L Tire and Service Center, right there just north of the of 94 off the Johnson Creek exit. You can see it from the road. Also in Watertown, whether it's an 18-wheeler or a minivan, they've got facilities to handle both sides of the iron, man. They can get it all done, and they can get it done trustworthy. That's JNLTire.com. That's JNLTire.com. Matt Lafleur next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The power of friendship has spawned a memorable baseball season in Milwaukee. When you choose to work with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the relationship is more than what feels like having a friend. Pella honors trust and commitment on your behalf, before, during, and after the sale. They take those values to heart with every person the Pella team works with. It's natural to feel a little apprehensive about having someone visit your home, but take it from me and my wife. The brilliant Pella designers immediately put you at ease with their experience and professionalism. We love that initial visit, along with how easy they made it to envision bringing our project to life. Pella is committed to being the company everyone wants to do business with, and they've certainly lived up to that and more. And with this month's incredible deal, Gina Della from Pella is here to share why you shouldn't wait to order new windows and doors.
Order today and get 0% interest for up to 60 months. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 9/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. I want to get right to it. Last night, after the ball game, Packers head coach Matt Lafleur went to the podium. I want you to listen. There's some good questions from last night. I know people always want to seemingly criticize the media that cover the Green Bay Packers on the daily, but there's some legitimate questions there if you can kind of hear them. But Matt Lafleur talking to the media last night. Take a listen.
It's disappointing in regards to just too many critical mistakes that led to that tie. Give Dallas credit. They did a great job offensively, moving the ball down the field. But there's a lot of things that we all have to clean up, starting with myself. I mean, we're trying to be aggressive at the end of the half, and that really bit us in the butt.
What happened there at the end where you guys almost ran out of time?
Well, yeah, that just goes to the level of detail where we're not where we need to be. There's 28 seconds left. We call a play to take a shot to the end zone. They played cover 2. We end up checking the ball down. So we have an on-the-ball call to send everybody to the end zone. And we knew that we used the term ozone, saying that it's got to go out of bounds or end zone, obviously with time remaining. And just the operation was just way too slow. Like, I don't know if our guys didn't know we were in 2 minutes or what, but ultimately the communication's got to get better. Myself to Jordan to the huddle, and that's the bottom line.
You're saying it should have gone out of bounds or end zone on the check down to Wilson
No,
or the next play?
The next play. The next play.
1 second left. Is there any thought there of taking a shot to the end zone?
No, not in that situation. We tried to on that last play.
So on the one to Golden out there, couldn't he have come up and just spiked it?
Which one?
So the 3-yard loss there, Golden, where he threw out, I think there was.
Yeah, is that when we popped the timeout?
Oh, you did pop, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you spike it, then don't you?
Yeah, but then you lose it down, and now you're 3rd and long, and I mean the closer you get, the longer the yardage situation is, the harder it is to convert. So, yeah, it's just, obviously the play calls sucked. They weren't good enough.
So the throw to Wilson that lost 2 yards, that's the one you wanted him to take a shot into the end zone?
No, we called a shot play. They played it based on how they played the play before, where the corner came flying up. We were trying to present the same look and throw a ball by him. And they played cover 2, and it was gloved. It was covered.
What do you make of your special teams right now, past couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, there's been some critical errors that have obviously really hurt us.
How do you get those fixed?
Well, you got to go back and you got to practice and you got to do a better job. We got to do a better job in practice. That's disappointing, obviously, 2 weeks in a row where you have a kick blocked. So I thought we did a lot of good things throughout the course of the week to try to correct the problem. Obviously, it wasn't enough.
It's a different overtime format, obviously. It backfired on the Giants doing what you did today. Did you because they each had 2 possessions and the Giants scored on the 3rd possession. I mean, the Cowboys scored on the 3rd possession against the Giants. Will this always be your strategy in overtime?
I'm not going to get into what our strategy is going to be.
How tough is it at the end, given it's 10 minutes, you get the ball last 2? You don't want to go too fast in case it ends in field goal and they get that last possession.
Say that again?
In terms of management, how tough is it at the end in terms of you don't want to go too fast in case it ends in a field goal and they get the final possession, but you want to go quick enough to give yourself the best?
Yeah, that's always a fine line that you're battling. Certainly, if I didn't know it ended like that, it would have gone faster. So, hindsight's 20/20.
Is that on Jordan? Does he have to get everybody up there?
No, it's on everybody. It's on all of us. It's not just on one individual. It's everybody. It's starting with myself. So we got to do a better job coaching what we need to get done, and then our players we all collectively got to do a better job there. And I don't know, it wasn't good enough.
I understand it's the NFL and you're going to make mistakes, but you and Goody have said we're still the youngest team, but these guys are experienced even though they're young. Is it disappointing to see, some of these small mistakes that you think are avoidable still happening in year 3 of this team?
Yeah, I mean, every year is a different situation. You got a lot of new players out there, so it's never the same. So I think anytime mistakes happen, it's disappointing, whether it's year 3 with your group of guys or you got a rookie in there. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day because nobody cares. Bottom line is you got to get it right.
Did you pick up going for a 2 at some point to try to get back the extra point?
It was discussed. It was definitely discussed. It just, where we were, we kept, the way the game was flowing, it seemed like there was a lot of times where, there were a couple of situations where we had to kick the PAT to go up 4 points. So, it's just like, do you go for 2 there and chase points? I mean, you could.
What do you think about your performance defensively? Do you credit how they played offensively?
Absolutely. You always credit your opponent. Like, I thought they did a good job. Dak has been playing at a high level. We knew this was going to be a tough place to play. It always is. They got good players over there. I think Williams is a stud of a running back. They battled. I got to go back and take a look at everything to give you a better assessment, but give them a lot of credit.
They got nothing for like the first 25 minutes. Did they change anything? Did they adapt or adjust anything in the second half to do what they did offensively?
Again, one of the challenges I would say is when you're so immersed in your calling plays, you're trying to manage and navigate through that. So I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow in regards to what it is they changed. I don't think they really changed a whole lot. I mean, it's just they made some big plays. They executed. We missed a lot of tackles. And we got to find a way, somehow, some way to generate some takeaways.
Obviously with Micah, what did you think of how he handled himself? And I mean, the sack there in overtime was pretty big.
Yeah, Mike has been outstanding. He's been pretty consistent. I mean, he's been consistent on a daily basis and just comes to work. He's got a good attitude. And we're lucky to have him.
More, please. With everything that went wrong in the first half, just how'd you feel about Jordan and the offense and the way they played?
Well, we talked about it at halftime. Obviously, it's an extremely deflating situation, and it was just, the key to this game, as in life, in my opinion, is you got to have resiliency, and you got to be resilient. You got to, as deflating as it is, you got to find a way to overcome that. I thought our guys battled back from it, but obviously just didn't do enough to get the win.
The false start at the end of the second quarter, right before the half. I think it was first and 15 at about 21 seconds. What do you think you could get done there?
Well, we called a chunk play. They played cover 2. I thought the protection held up pretty good. When you get a couple hitches, that's all you can really expect. It's either check the ball down, or if you get engulfed, just take the sack. And but I thought Jordan did an outstanding job throughout the course of the game. Obviously, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have called that play. It's not a great play for the coverage that they played. I mean, credit to them.
That came in almost unblocked on the side on the strips.
On the strip sack? Okay. Well, then I misread it, obviously. I mean, my eyes in real time, my eyes are down on the defense. I'm not watching what's going on in the pocket. It's looking at the defense, looking at the coverage, trying to dissect and predict where, based on coverage, where the ball should go. So obviously didn't see it the right way.
You thought you could get a field goal out of that.
Yeah, we were trying to be aggressive, and it backfired, and it killed us. Thanks, guys. Have a good
There
night.
you go. That's Matt Lafleur talking to the media. We're going to break. We'll come back. We'll break down a little bit of what he had to say. He took the punch in the face, though, for the gaffe at the end of the game. And again, he talks about his play calling, talks about the management, and he is really, really shielding Jordan Love from a lot of criticism. I get it, because you want to keep that relationship and you want to make sure that you're not throwing your guys under the bus and you keep the respect in the locker room. But man, and he was right about missed tackles. I counted 14, if I'm not mistaken, when I went back and watched the game this morning. Now, I could be off by a few, but there was quite a few yesterday in that ball game, without a doubt. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Green and Gold Monday in the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back on a Green and Gold Monday, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at German Fest. We're a little less than a year away, where they've been instrumental in the community, and all German Fest's initiatives continue to pay back as they helped us out with this year's 18th annual Big Unit Poker Run, to name just one of the examples. But they believe in supporting veterans, military members, and their families, and giving back, and that's exactly what they did. Thanks to our friends at German Fest, who supplied the finances to cover the police department and the band this year. So German Fest, don't forget about it. July 25th, 26th, and 27th, coming up in 2026. For all the information, go to GermanFest.com. That is GermanFest.com. Welcome back to the program, and your reaction to what Matt Lafleur had to say. He took kind of the blame for the clock mismanagement down the stretch. He did explain we had this particular play call. They did want to take a shot. The defense didn't allow it. But when it came to what are you doing? Why didn't you spike it? Why didn't you throw it away? Oh, no, he explains it away. And logically, I get it. But widely from those inside the game where it looked optically to me inept, people around the league are saying, yeah, that was inept as well. So I get it. It's kind of like I used to go in and sit down with the Brewers manager, Ken Maka, at the time, and I didn't agree, and he'd explain it to me, and I'd go, man, that's logical. I completely get it. I still disagree with it, but I completely get it. That's kind of what I heard coming out of that presser. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670, creeping up on the top of the hour. Gerard, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
Boy, oh boy, Bill. Let me explain this gadget thing the best I can and as quick as I can. You run gadget plays, okay, when a team is over pursuing, all right, and you have control, a lot of control of the game, all right? They drafted this kid Williams in the 3rd round to be a gadget player, and this has been the problem for the last 7 years with Lafleur. There's never been physical football. He's not that type of coach. He's a finesse coach, and that's why, look, and that's why they can't be physical teams. You don't run these constant gadget plays in that position. There's no sense to them. There's absolutely no sense. You impose your will on a mediocre, beat-up Dallas team, and when they were up, and like you said, I do believe when they blocked that extra point, that changed the momentum of the game. I absolutely believe that. But they caused their own problems because of the coaching. That's all. And as far as Hafley is concerned, let's not this guy has not stopped the team on any of these big drives since he's been there. He didn't stop Jacksonville twice last year, the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions, the whole, but he hasn't stopped anybody. The Lions now, let's be real. That first game of the year, we don't know how really the Lions are. Now look at them. Look at them.
Right.
They beat up the Browns team that beat the Packers. They really beat them up. All right. So that's my thing on that. And look, Parsons is, let me tell you, if this keeps up, he's already starting to mouth off. Parsons is a very honest guy, and he's very outspoken. So, that's the way it is. And Wyatt, as far as Wyatt is concerned, he's hurt more than he's on the field, Bill. Let's be honest about that. I mean, he is really hurt a lot, And their defensive backs are playing 30 yards down. I couldn't believe that play on that out to Turpin on 3rd down. when Valentine comes running up from 20. Bill, it was 20. You saw the replay. How far? Let me ask you a question. What are their safeties doing? What happened? What happened to their safety?
Well, Valentine, they moved him outside because Hobbs was getting burned so bad. They moved him to the outside, and I didn't understand why he's 12 yards off the ball and then backpedaling like he's getting burned already at the snap count. And I didn't understand that at all. I'm like, well, what are you doing? You're already giving him a 12 to 15 yard cushion and then sprinting away from the guy that you're defending. I didn't understand that particular play, and I don't know why he did that. He gave him such a cushion.
Hobbs, Bill,
to a lot of money.
Hobbs, isn't he an inside guy? Isn't he an inside guy? Isn't he? He's not an outside corner, is he?
He's played both, but he's not anything right now. He hasn't done much of anything. I mean, granted, he was nicked up, he's hurt, but he looked terrible. Hobbs looked like he didn't know what he was doing. He was trailing every play. Like he was, he didn't know if the guy was going outside or inside. He didn't know about leverage. He just trailed every receiver.
But I mean, what is the common denominator of the last 7 years, Bill? Just like I'm saying, they're finessing. And look, the problem with Love is he doesn't have the reaction like Rodgers does. He doesn't play with urgency the way these guys are. I like him a lot personally. I like Love. I think he's a good kid. And he's a good quarterback. He's not. Believe me, he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm saying there's certain things that aren't there that either have to be made up with the coaching and isn't being made up, or he's just not getting it. So there's a thing.
Gerard, we got to run. We're at the top of the hour. Appreciate the phone call. We got a lot more to get to. Stick around. We got a whole lot more of a Green and Gold Monday coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it was Micah Parsons' highly anticipated return to Dallas as the game would end up in a tie. Both quarterbacks, Jordan Love and Dak Prescott, would have 3 touchdown passes, and Packers kicker Brandon McManus a 35-yarder as the clock hit 0 in overtime just after Jordan Love's pass in the back of the end zone felt incomplete with just the second remaining, as Green Bay and Dallas would end the game at 40 apiece. There's more from head coach Matt Lafleur.
It's disappointing in regards to just too many critical mistakes that led to that time. Give Dallas credit. They did a great job offensively, moving the ball down the field. But there's a lot of things that we all have to clean up, starting with myself. I mean, they're trying to be aggressive at the end of the half, and that really
The Packers now sit 2-1-1 on the year as they enter in their bye week. Turning to Wisconsin, they're now coming off of their bye week. They'll go to Ann Arbor on Saturday and take on number 20, Michigan.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
The Milwaukee Brewers would close out the regular season with a 4-2 victory over the Cincinnati Reds at American Family Field, giving them 97 wins on the season, which is the best record in franchise history. With the playoffs now starting, the Brewers will get a first-round bye. They'll host either the Chicago Cubs or the San Diego Padres in Game 1 of an NL Division Series starting on Saturday. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in, one and all, to everybody on our network. We certainly appreciate you being here. The Packers battle to a 40-40 tie. One team feels like they, as Mike Clemens put it, protected their home field. And another team, it feels as if they lost a game. And I think a lot of Packers fans feel that way today. I had picked the score 35-17, and I thought the Packers would impose their will, that this would be a get-right game for them, and it turned out to be more the opposite. On one hand, you can look at it and say, well, you know what? Offensively, they had a couple of bad drives that didn't look good, that were off, maybe the best way to put it. And then offensively, they were able to move the football. They got things done. And in key moments, there were some big plays out of Jordan Love. But in the most crucial of moments, the most crucial of times, there was an ill-advised throw, a lack of sense of urgency that wasted time, and possibly another play. It took them basically out of the ability to win a game and gave them the ability to tie a game. And call it what you want. Call it lack of experience, call it youth, call it ineptitude, whatever it is, it still equals the same exact thing. And that is a team that should have went in there and got a win, that again gets beat in the trenches, gives up, defensively speaking, gives up, I think it was touchdown, punt, touchdown, field goal, game over. Oof. They couldn't get off the field. And, again, when Devontae Wyatt went down was when you saw things begin to get exploited, because the pressure up the gut is nil. I'm not going to use one game as an indictment of personnel. Not going to do that, because everybody has an off game. But we keep talking about these things have to be fixed. They got to get right. All the adjectives. I guess here's my question. The first two games in 4 days, we were thinking, wow, this team is probably one of the top two teams in the NFC. And I feel like we have bought into fool's gold. That's what I feel like. I feel like they got off to a fast start, and since then we've been duped. Like when this team gets punched in the face, it takes them a while to really kind of recover. And then it's a scramble drill to kind of come back and make it a game. And that's been the MO. Like when they get punched in the face, you can see it. You can feel it. So Brian says, what about the questionable call where they didn't call the intentional grounding by Dak? First of all, the Dak Prescott non-grounding call, that was terrible. And the fact that they did not throw the flag on the Dontavian Wicks downfield pass when he got basically mugged, that was a horse blank call too, or non-call. They just kept the flag in their pocket.
I think the universe was on the Cowboys' side a little bit last night. It's weird. You see this in sports. The whole sports world has been dogging the Cowboys, and everyone expects the Packers to roll in and blow their doors. And sometimes the universe and sports operate that way a little bit. I agree with you on those calls. Not the reason they lost, but didn't make it any easier.
I agree. It's not the reason you lost, but it was also one of those things where you went, oh, come on, man. You can't be, that much against them, so to speak. I want to go back to Joshua's comments over in the live stream. And he said, Love is playing without his best tackle and Banks, Reed and Watson, and he's still at a quarterback rating of 113. Not going to complain about him. Joshua, I said, look, he played a good game, but in the most crucial of moments when you were expected to be the $55 million man, he wasn't. That you can complain about. Brought him down the field, made an incredible pass to Matthew Golden. But here's the other thought. In the clock management aspect of things, there was errors. Here's what I thought about last night, too, coming out of that game. And I got it written down right here on one of my notes. Thinking too much about not leaving too much time on the clock. And I thought about that, too. Like they're trying to take it down and end the game on a pass instead of just scoring. Like they were trying to be a little too cute because they wanted to run time off the clock and not give Dak Prescott time against your defense that, like I said, gave up 5 scoring plays out of 6 drives. And I think they got a little too cute in that rather than just going down and punching it in.
And which, to clarify, by the way, if the Packers score a touchdown, the game's over. There's no, because I needed to remind myself of the overtime rules too. If the Packers go down and score a touchdown with 5 minutes, I know they got it with like 4 something, but it doesn't matter how much clock is left. The only reason you're concerned about clock is if you think you're going to kick a field goal, because then the Cowboys would then get the ball to answer.
Right.
But the way both teams were moving the ball and the way that Jordan Love in that offense was moving the ball, there was no reason to think, just go score a touchdown and win. Forget about the clock.
And that was it. Like, you're thinking too much about, well, if we kick a field goal, then they get time, and then our special teams aren't that good, and they can end up in the middle of the field. And the next thing you know, they could kick the field goal that ultimately beats us. And I'm thinking, if that's in your mentality at this point, then you're completely, you're worried too much about what they're doing and not what you're doing.
You've kind of already lost.
Yeah.
That's the way you're thinking.
Exactly. So, Chad says, instead of the screen to Golden, just spike it, 2 shots into the end zone, then kick. And right, that's what I'm talking about. That's where the criticism widely is coming from. You can't make that throw behind the line of scrimmage. You can't do that. And then waste 17 seconds getting everybody back to the line of scrimmage. Summer Shack says it was another coaching error. No, it wasn't, Summer. No, it wasn't. Down the stretch, Jordan Love played a really, really good game. When they needed to manage that last 30 seconds, he didn't do it. He didn't manage. That's a good way of framing it. He didn't manage it. He was making all of the throws, and they were moving the ball. He wasn't managing the situation as well as you would like. And here's the other thing. I went back and watched it, and Matt Lafleur is like waving his arm like, come on, hurry up, let's go. And there was no sense of urgency out of the quarterback to get his guys back.
Really, anybody on the field. Right. Like, those guys should be sprinting to the line. Right. I don't understand.
Right. That was part of it. Matt LaFleur's like, come on. And you're watching time tick down. And that is where you can't defend Jordan Love. And, Jordan did look like he had more of a sense of urgency, but it wasn't, you got to get there and spike it. You got to get there and stop the clock. I mean, that you wanted to have as many shots at the opportunity to put the ball in the end zone and win the game. You weren't playing for the field goal. You already had the field goal. You were in field goal range. Anything inside the 40s in field goal range. But you got to know the urgency sense at that particular point in time.
And to be clear, we're not saying that Matt LaFleur has no blame. We're just saying that you can't just excuse Jordan Love. Like, he's the one out there manning the controls.
Right.
He's making the money, and this is his 3rd year as a starter. Like, he's got to realize, I got to move faster. So I think it's a little bit of both, but we're not just excusing Jordan Love. That's the point.
No, I completely get it. So we know that the special teams were an abomination. 2 big run backs, putting them, one that sucked the right away after the Packers went down and scored coming out of halftime after they had put the stop on Dallas. Packers go right down, score, look dominant doing so, and right after that, you've got another big run back, and it just sucks all the enthusiasm and all the momentum right out of the Packers sideline. You could just see it. And the next thing you know, they go down and score, and like I said, going from there, it was just obvious that they were then in for just some kind of long, furious battle that they should have never been in with that team. And that's unfortunate. So 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. We want to hear from you. This is the way things ended for the Packers. And for those that say, oh my God, he's terrible in the red zone. I'm watching all of these different, people that say that Matt LaFleur doesn't know what he's doing. Let's see here. They had the fumble. Then they ended the half. They had one play. That was the end of it. Then the Packers came out, touchdown, field goal. The first opening drive was a touchdown. Then the next one was a punt. Then a 9-play, 73-yard drive for a touchdown. Then they had a 5-play drive that they got a 15-yard penalty on. They ended up getting behind the 8 ball because of a penalty. And they punted it away. The very next play, or the very next series, they go 4 plays, lost 5 yards because of the fumble, and they gave the ball up. And then the half ended. So when they had drives, they had touchdown. They had 7 drives of scoring, 1 fumble, 1 was the end of a half, and 2 punts. Don't tell me about red zone calling, okay? Because you don't mind it when they score, it's great, and then when they don't, it's all play calling and everything sucks. Be realistic, okay? Because they scored 40 points and you're like, they can't even put the ball in the end zone. It's like, oh, okay. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to text us, 608-321-1670. There are times to complain, I get it. But don't be one of those people that just jumps completely off the bridge and you take everybody else with you out of stupidity. I don't mind keeping it real because I'll call you on it, but just don't get crazy.
Interesting. Us being the voice of reason. Can I ask you something? Because I've heard this from listeners at the end. Well, it never should have been that close. It never should have been that close. Okay, but it was. And sometimes that happens in the NFL. Let's say that Jordan Love makes one more throw and they score a touchdown and they win and it's this all-time classic finish. I think a lot of us today are saying like, well, the O-line's concerning and the special teams are concerning. But I think even elite defenses have bad weeks. I think even the best defenses sometimes just the other play caller gets in a rhythm, the quarterback gets in a rhythm. And I think had the Packers won that at the end last night, like they very easily could have, I'd just be saying, hey, good game, Cowboys, good game, Dak. They balled out last night and it was close. Right. I didn't expect it to be. And the Packers won anyway. I wish we were living in that world today because it was a banger of a game and the offense played more than well enough to win. And that's frustrating.
If they would have put the ball in the end zone and won this game,
yeah, what's your lead today? What's that?
My lead would have been they won the game. They figured out through adversity to win the game, but the problems still exist. And it's going to cost them. That's what I would be saying. Because let's just say that last pass hits Dobbs and Dobbs catches it and he falls into the end zone and it's a touchdown. We would probably be looking at that going, that was a do or die play and they made it work. And there would be more praise for Jordan Love, but also you can't ignore the clock mismanagement at the end of the game. You can't ignore that. You can't ignore the poor special teams play that continues to rear their ugly head. What we would be looking at also is, yeah, they had penalties, and we'd be looking at it, Mr. Brightside saying, but even with the ones that were accepted and the two that weren't, they still had 5 less penalties in this game than they did last week. So maybe they're curbing that a little bit, but it would have felt very reminiscent to me of it's a win, but it's putting lipstick on a pig. You know what I mean? Like there's still a lot of flaws here.
Yeah, but then you go into the bye with an opportunity to correct some of those things.
Right.
I thought Jordan Morgan and Kennard kind of settled in as the game went along. They weren't perfect. I thought the penalties that those guys had, so they each had a hold, and then Elton Jenkins misplaced the ball, right? That's where their false start or their illegal procedure came from when he was getting ready to snap. I don't think those mistakes were because of bad practice habits or lack of focus. I just think Jordan Morgan and Kennard aren't that good. So they got beat and they had to hook somebody. I don't think that's a reflection on Matt Lafleur's coaching. I just think those are backup O linemen who got beat and then grabbed as a result. So I feel better about the penalty stuff. I'm still concerned about the quality of the O line because they can't run the ball to save their life at all. They could pass protect good enough to sling the ball a little bit more than they did at the end, which is frustrating, but they can't run block to save their life.
Todd over on the live stream says the coach's apology show, which that's a joke. LaFleur's track record is he's being outcoached 90% of the time. Todd, do me a favor. Where you got that statistic, please express that. Please tell me where you got that. LaFleur doesn't know what he's doing. It's the love bashing narratives that are not real. So you tell me what is not real, what we just stated. And also I want to know where you got that statistic. Just please put that up for me, which I say that because I guarantee he won't, because that's his opinion. So again, all I'm trying to do is keep it realistic. And you don't want to hear it because you want to be mad. You want to be pissed off at Matt LaFleur. You don't like Matt LaFleur. You want Matt LaFleur fired. I'm not calling for anybody. Put it this way. This is Matt LaFleur's team until the end of the season unless things go horrifically wrong. So all I want to do is analyze the games as they are. And if you don't like that, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not an apology show. We criticized him. We just didn't criticize him to the length that you want us to criticize him.
we're telling you be mad at both.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving you carte
Right.
blanche to rip Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. And now I see a comment on the live stream. They weren't ready for this game. That's 100% on coaching. They were up 13-0 about ready to kick an extra point. In fact, I'm writing in my notes right now, this game started exactly how we hoped and would have wanted it to start. It just got derailed as the game went along. So that's still on coaching. But again, I think everybody wants to say, well, they weren't ready and they weren't good at practice. I don't know. I didn't see that in this game like maybe we saw last week. Or
the only thing when, like Tim says, well, Matt has cost the Packers 2 wins already. The only thing I can say is by the ineptitude of special teams. That I can completely agree with. That I can agree with. The coaching aspect of this has cost this team two wins. 2 wins, without a doubt. But if you can point to me like specific play, there's now again, I go back to look at what Harbaugh's going through, and they're criticizing his play calling. They're criticizing Andy Reid down in Kansas City, although they got a win yesterday. When the Chargers got beat, they're criticizing Harbaugh. So it comes with the territory. So I understand it, and you're not without merit there. But I just the jumping on one specific thing, it's not that easy. Chris says, man, if you fire Matt LaFleur, who's going to want to coach this team with no first-round picks for the next 2 years? I think anybody.
I think someone would take the job.
Yeah. Think about it this way, Chris. And Chris is a good dude. I know Chris. And by the way, Chris is a staunch Dallas Cowboys fan. Considering that many people in the league seem to think that Jordan Love has all the talent in the world, you would always have some offensive-minded coach who would say, hey, I can help him. And considering you've got what is considered to be really a top 5 team in the NFC, you'd take it. You would take it. There's some issues that if you're a good coach, you can fix it. The first thing I do is start with special teams. You got to shore those up. Put it this way. If you fix special teams, just in fixing special teams, you win 2 games. That's it. Because you win the game in Cleveland, and you probably win this game in Dallas. If you don't have, because then you're up 14-0, and you look relatively dominant. And think of it this way: you're kicking off to them, but you're not doing it after a 2-point conversion, in which all of a sudden you give them the momentum back. Mary says, "What makes you think the Packers changed? What make you think the Packers changed in Week 3?" I'm trying to see here because things are flying by so fast. Holy mackerel! What makes you think in Week 3 if they played great on Week 1 and Week 2? I think in Week 3 they read their own press clippings and they thought they could throw their helmets out there against the Browns. And here's what, which is a great question. And then I got to take a break. If you think you can beat a team by throwing your helmets out there, like you're just coming in and we're going to go maul them, and suddenly you get punched in the face, that means during the week, which is coaching, you didn't take it serious and you didn't practice on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday the way you should play on Sunday, because you didn't have an answer for that. As much as you want to talk about the injuries, and they're legitimate, but you didn't have an answer for that. Defensively speaking, you didn't play bad. The problem was, in the most opportune time, you gave up 13 straight points and you lost a game. But that's what changed. And then you got punched in the face, and I should have been listening. God, Mariucci was so smart. I was watching Mariucci yesterday, and Mariucci said this game's going to be close. When everybody else was saying it was going to be a boat race, he says, when you get beat like that, like they did in Cleveland, he said, it takes a while to shake that off. It really does. He said, then you start, it's not that you doubt yourself, it's that suddenly you feel fallible when before you didn't. And I should have been listening to Mooch, but Mooch said it yesterday on Good Morning Football, or their NFL, whatever it was, prior to the Dublin game, and said, yeah, it's tough to come back from stuff like that because it takes a couple of weeks. And he said that's why this game's going to be much closer than a lot of people are thinking about talking about last night's game. So that was rather insightful. And I think that's what's happened. That's what's happened. Let's do this. We'll step out. We went really long in that first segment. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of it brought to you by our great friends over there at Point Brewing. Brewing excellence since 1857. We hoisted a few beverages this past weekend. Always love our gang at Point. Some amber lagers, cider boys, all that kind of good stuff. So if you're looking for something specifically for the fall, check out their entire lineup. Go to pointbrewing.com, pointbrewing.com. But brewing excellence since 1857 and support what's right here in the state of Wisconsin. That's our friends in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Point Brewing. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Maybe ease your pain a little bit tonight. The Social House, Haus on Lisbon Road. Menominee Falls, Brookfield tonight. Grandpa Eric calling the numbers for bingo tonight. Grandpa Eric starting at 6:30. There you go. Every other Monday. Bingo back. And Grandpa Eric is calling numbers tonight over at the Social House. Grandpa Eric. Okay. There you have it. I don't know who Grandpa Eric is. I might have to drive over there just to find out. You know, maybe you need a good giggle, you know, after last night's kiss your sister, kiss your brother type of outcome. So there you go. Grandpa Eric. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give him a shout, give us a shout by all means. Go ahead and do so. Let's go to Tim listening to us in Arizona. Tim, how you doing, man? What's going on? Okay, we can't hear him. Go ahead and put him back on hold. Tim, that's a terrible connection. I don't know what's going on there. I asked Todd to give us a breakdown. And I said, tell me where the statistics came from. He said, it's observable reality. 90% of the time, the Packers caught Detroit at the right time. I said last week, Lafleur calls about 3 good games a year. The rest of the games are underperforming and ugly wins. Dallas dictated the offense to Green Bay's defense, which Dallas did that. I agree with that. But Lafleur started out good. He said Lafleur's the only head coach to consistently blame his plays in the defense to the opponent's plays. Let's start keeping track, starting with the year. Detroit, Lafleur win only because Detroit made big mistakes using. See, you can't even give him credit for a win. That's where your bias comes from, and that's where you lose me. So nothing the Packers did. When we talked about the Packers playing aggressive, the Packers swarming to the football, the energy Micah Parsons brought, the execution that they had offensively early. The only reason the Packers won, you're saying, is because Detroit didn't play well. Detroit made big mistakes using new offensive coordinator schemes. So it's Detroit's fault, and you don't give any credit. That's where you lose me. The Cleveland game, I agree, sucked. But you lose me when you say it's observable, so you don't have a 90% statistic. And, well, the only reason they won was because Detroit didn't play well. You know what that sounds like is I go back to the year the Packers actually won the Super Bowl, and people were calling in going, yeah, but they can't do it twice in a row. They got lucky. I don't care. You got a ring. It's the same thing. There's nothing provable there. We can keep track, absolutely. We keep tracks via wins and losses. And what I've talked about ad nauseum. You can see the problems. The offensive line is not good. The defensive front without Devontae Wyatt is not good. You've got Edgerrin Cooper, who played last night like his hair was on fire. The problem was he was overrunning plays.
Worst game he's had.
Worst game.
An awful game.
Quay Walker had a fantastic game. I saw somebody yesterday that said Quay Walker stinks. He had a fantastic game last night. I went back and watched that today. That's why some people that just get upset, you're mad at everything, and you'll watch one play that Quay Walker gets moved out on or something, and he sucks. That's just complete ignorance. Last night, Nate Hobbs got 8 up. They tried to make some adjustments. Valentine moves over. He got 8 up. Their secondary, I've talked about it time and again, susceptible. Keyshawn Nixon had 2 misses last night. The tackling, I counted I think 14 missed or broken tackles with opportunities. They'll probably say 7 or 8 by the time it's all said and done. But no, the execution last night was poor. But again, if you don't block the field goal, you win a ball game in Cleveland. If they don't block the PAT, they do not shift the momentum in Dallas's favor. You've got Dallas on the ropes early. What I want to see is when you have a team on the ropes is can you get that next execution score? And Ronald, you talk about Lucas Van Ness. He absolutely clocked their guard twice last night. Put him rolling backwards on his ass on backside draws. You didn't watch the game close enough. Grant says, effort comes from coaching. Look at Dan Campbell and how hard the Lions play. I agree. Then tell me why the effort wasn't there in game 1. I'll wait. I'm not sitting here defending things. I'm just not piling on the way you want me to.
I've just noticed that after the Packers lose the Monday after, it's fun because I love reacting strongly to stuff. It's just people have a tendency to we just yell. I just want to yell because I'm mad and I want to yell at someone, which I love. I accept, but sometimes we go a little bit too far.
Right. I just try to keep things reality-wise and honest. And there are things that went bad yesterday. Let's see here. I'm going through my notes. By the way, the offensive, what I called the coverings yesterday weren't that great. They weren't that great in certain areas. I agree with that. Wyatt up front was a big loss defensively. The offensive line, the offensive line, Dak Prescott did a great job covering up his own offensive line by getting rid of the ball quickly, where Jordan Love took some time to throw the football in certain situations, which is the reason the pressure got to him when they tried to heat him up yesterday. And you were going to see that because it's out there now. If you come after him and put pressure on him, he can make mistakes or just throw it away. The not leaving the time on the clock, and all the clock management at the end of the game, that's obviously something that we've discussed. Just trying to see all my notes because I got so much written down here. The series of play in the third quarter, I really appreciated the fact that Matthew Golden made 2 big plays. Romeo Doubs was in the right place at the right time. Romeo Doubs came over and got in the face of some of the defenders saying, now it's up to you. And I loved that out of Romeo Doubs last night. I don't know if we didn't talk really about it, but if you're looking for somebody to try to take a lead in all of this, Romeo Doubs is beginning to emerge. And he's healthy. He's hitting, knock on wood, but he's having a really good season so far. But that guy is watch his route running. It's gotten better over the last couple of years. Watch his route running, man. His moves, his swivel of hips, inside to outside to be able to create space. He's gotten really, really good. Really, really good. JJ says the Packers fans seem to be largely divided into 2 groups, the relentlessly negative or the unrealistically optimistic. The truth is someplace in the middle, which is what we're trying to do.
I think we're sitting in the middle pretty nicely today.
We're sitting right in the middle of that. Last night, you get mad, but Tire Smoke says, again, choosing to kick the ball in overtime was classic brain dead Matt Lafleur. If there was a minute left or 30 seconds with their kicker, you basically gave Dallas the second possession to your one. What? Choosing to kick the ball? If you score, it's over.
Go score a touchdown.
Yeah, you
this
score a touchdown, it's over.
This is what we've been saying.
So no, you want to know what you have to do. That doesn't make any sense. Not at all. Got a lot of, we got a lot of stuff coming in, a lot of text messages and stuff too. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up on a Green and Gold Monday right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The power of friendship has spawned a memorable baseball season in Milwaukee. When you choose to work with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the relationship is more than what feels like having a friend. Pella honors trust and commitment on your behalf before, during, and after the sale. They take those values to heart with every person the Pella team works with. It's natural to feel a little apprehensive about having someone visit your home, but take it from me and my wife. The brilliant Pella designers immediately put you at ease with their experience and professionalism. We love that initial visit, along with how easy they made it to envision bringing our project to life. Pella is committed to being the company everyone wants to do business with, and they've certainly lived up to that and more. And with this month's incredible deal, Gina Della from Pella is here to share why you shouldn't wait to order new windows and doors.
Order today and get 0% interest for up to 60 months. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 9/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. And here's the reality. And I just tweeted this out. And this is something that if you're a Packers fan, you probably either you're going to agree with or you don't want to hear. Okay? And before I get into the calls and the texts and all this kind of stuff, I wrote this down earlier today, and I'm kind of like, okay, I wanted to think about it. And so this is This is when we talk about keeping it real on this program, this is as real gets, okay? You look at what criticism is being heaped upon the Eagles right now. Their offense doesn't look great. Saquon Barkley's not running the ball great. A.J. Brown's pissed off. He's tweeting stuff out. Jalen Hurts is silent. And whether it's a blocked field goal, a fumble, recovery, a scoop and score, a great defensive stand, that team over the last 3 years has figured out with its tested metal how to overcome adversity. And that's the reason they have the ring. Okay? 3 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts would have been the MVP of that Super Bowl had it not been for the fumble. Kansas City took advantage. Boom. Next thing you know, Kansas City, because they knew how to win, they figured it out. The Eagles go away. They took a year. They kind of had to figure things out. Sirianni almost lost his job. They went through a lot of adversity. Then they make the trade for Saquon Barkley. All the tumblers began to click, and they figured out how to win. They thought to themselves, we can win in different ways. Somebody on this team at any point in time has to step up and make a play. That's a championship team. This Packers team, and I was asked a question here, and this is what sparked this. This is the reason I'm bringing this up. Where did it go? Was it on the text line? Okay, this is what it was. It said, the Packers were lucky to get out of Dallas with a tie, and on and on and on, and then talked about the clock and the management. And anyway, all the things that we've been discussing, but said, how would you feel about this team had they won against Cleveland and had they won last night? So much for your 8-0 prediction. And they were a field goal away from winning that game and just escaping. They were a blocked field goal away and what I consider to be a couple of special teams gaffes away from escaping. And they could have been sitting here today going into the bye week, as I would have predicted, as I did predict, at 4-0. Staring down the barrel of a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals team that is extremely beatable. We'll see that team play tonight. So I'll be watching with a wide eye tonight to see what they look like in week 2 of the Jake Browning experiment. The difference between the Eagles and the Packers is the Eagles learned how to win, and they know what it takes to overcome their own adversity. The Packers do not. Call it coaching, quarterback play, the inability to make a big play and tackle. Now think about it this way. The guy that did make the big play was Micah Parsons. Had Micah Parsons not tracked down Dak Prescott from behind, that was game over. But he willed himself to make that play. He willed himself to make that play. So the reality of this team is they don't know how to win. When they're up, they don't have the ability to kick your ass and impose their will. When they're down and they get punched in the face, and again, perception becomes reality. I'm not saying it's the truth, but the perception becomes reality in a lot of people's minds. You look like your head coach looks. At times, dazed and confused. Now, the problem is if Matt Lafleur gets pissed off and screams and yells, people say, well, that's out of his character and he looks stupid doing it. He gets criticized for that. If he's passive, then he doesn't look tough enough or manly enough. So he's kind of in a catch-22 and gets a lot of the blame. But ultimately, the reality is when adversity hits is when you need guys to make plays. Guys need to stand up and make plays. That's championship mettle. If you sat here today and said, what is the likelihood of this team making the playoffs? I would say probably pretty good. What is the likelihood of getting out of the first round of the playoffs? I'd say 50-50. What is the likelihood of them getting to an NFC championship game? I'd probably say 15%. What is the likelihood of them winning a Super Bowl? 5%. Because they don't show the mettle in games like this, in games like Cleveland. You can have scares, but you have to overcome scares with teams that are less than you. And they don't. They don't. You've got to be able to overcome that. And they have not learned that yet. Whether that's youth, because even Micah Parsons only has so much postseason experience. It's not like he's won a ring. Same with Josh Jacobs. But you don't have that. I don't know where that starts. I couldn't sit here to tell you, is that coaching? I don't know. It's easy to point the finger at the coach. Sometimes guys got to look in the mirror. You don't ever want guys to accept being good and not great. You need your great guys to step up and drag the others with them, or hold the others that aren't being great accountable. But if this team is going to be able to overcome its ineptitude at times, they got to figure out how to be great. Otherwise, all you're ever going to be is a runner-up. And nobody gives two damns about the runners-up. Because after a while, a runner-up just isn't good enough anymore, and people lose their jobs because of it. But the reality is, this team doesn't know how to win yet. And I'm talking about win in adverse situations like that. And I know people behind the walls at 1265 are screaming and yelling and pissed off at me for saying it, but the consistency of losing in these types of games is there. And that's what needs to be called out. That's the reason you're looking at a team like the Eagles with a ring, who are being widely criticized for not playing well, not being, offensively flashy. They haven't been able to get their offensive game going. A.J. Brown's only getting 1 or 2 targets and 20 yards. And, you've got players that are speaking out. And it just seems like that team is already ready to blow apart. But they're winning. They've won 20 out of their last 21 games. And you'd think that this is one of the worst teams in the NFL. But the Packers are in the same type of games, and they're 2-1-1. That's the difference between a championship level team and a team that's just faking it along the way until they actually put their stamp on things. Something's got to give. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Sometimes I get a good feeling.
Welcome into the program. Yeah. We got, wait a minute. We got an announcement. Pretty big Howie looking. In case you did not know, that this particular program, along with our friends at Over the Line in the morning with Ebo and the gang, and then Grant's Wisco Sports Zone, we are sending 4 people to go see the Brewers play in the postseason. How about that? Games 1 and 2. 1 and 2. What you need to do right now, go to Wisco Sports Zone. 3 words, put them all together. WISCO, WiscoSportsZone.com, or the Wisco Sports Zone app. If you haven't downloaded it already, do it. Do it. Go there, and you're going to be able to find on the app under Win Stuff. Win Stuff. Everybody wants to win stuff. Go there under Win Stuff, and you could be one of the winners going to either Game 1 this coming Saturday or Game 2 on Sunday. We're going to send you to the Brewers postseason. How about that? I mean, I know, I get it. It's a Green and Gold Monday. But come on, man. Brewers, 97 wins on the season, franchise record. They got the win yesterday to end on a high note. Trevor McGill comes back. And how about that? We're giving away tickets. If you're a Brewers fan, which everybody is, right? Come on. If you're a Brewers fan, go to WiscoSportsZone.com under Win Stuff and get registered. Or download the Wisco Sports Zone app. Everybody in the world should have it. I'm sure everybody in the world has it. And you're driving around, you're listening to the program. Maybe you're in your office, you're in a hotel room, you're taking a nature hike in the woods, wherever the hell you're at right now, listening to the Wisco Sports Zone app. Go to Win Stuff. And we want to send you and a guest to go see the Brewers in Game 1 or Game 2, either against the Padres or the Cubs, this coming Saturday at American Family Field. There you go, under Win Stuff. WiscoSportsZone.com under Win Stuff. I'm excited about this, giving stuff away. And you got to get the entries in because for the Game 1 winner, we'll make the announcement on Thursday, and the Game 2 winner will make the announcement on Friday. Fantastic. I'm excited about this. Giving stuff away, saying thanks for listening, all that kind of good stuff. There you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670 if you want to give us a shout. By the way, I think the Brewers play, it's not Saturday and Sunday, it's Saturday and Monday. Saturday and Monday are the games, but you got to get your entries in by Thursday and by Friday. Thursday, you got to get it in for Game 1. Friday, you got to get it in for Game 2. So there you go. 877-867-1670. Hit us up, which is kind of nice because that means you don't, you get a little bit of rest and you don't have to worry about burning up your bullpen and all that kind of stuff. So freak yes. Like it.
Freak yes. This has been the most exciting couple minutes of the show so far.
I'm trying to contain myself from dropping a bomb and getting me kicked off the air. That's the way it is. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, we got a lot of text messages coming in, and we're going to get to those. We've got emails coming in of all types, so I want to get to those as well. This one, Jason says, Lafleur is not the guy. He always looks like the bully who took the lunch money when things are not going well, and his players can see it. We need a hard-ass coach like a Pat Murphy. Let's see here. What else do we have? This is from Ken. Ken says, good morning, Kenny from Kenosha. Like all Packers fans, I'm aggravated as hell with this team. So many issues. Excluding Parsons, we have no real pass rushers. None. Parsons at times had 3 people blocking him, and Gary nor Van Ness could do anything about it. Hobbs and Valentine stink. Where is our supposedly great salty ball awareness? I've seen better in high school by D's and Safety. I don't even know what D's and Safety. I don't know what the hell that means. The coach has no balls to win a damn game, plays for a tie, and then says he's worried about their kicker. Well, hell, if you scored freaking TDs, you don't have to worry about it. Terrible showing, a playoff team, my ass. There you go. That's from Ken.
This is going to sound so twisted and messed up, and this is definitely me coping, Bill, but after the first 2 games, I'm like, well, if they look this good now, we have nowhere to go but down, right? Like, I don't want my team playing their best ball at the end of the year.
Right.
So I felt nervous, and now I'm like, well, good, a little adversity. This will give them a chance to rally and fight and to start building momentum to another good stretch. So that's my cope at this hour, at least today.
This is my cope coming out of this week is at least they'll get maybe a guy or two back. At least with 2 weeks, you get healthy.
And I think Lafleur and his guys need to sit down and say, okay, this O-line, like, we got to come up with a different approach because we can't just roll out there, obviously, with our normal game plan unless they're all healthy. I think they, for the most part, have tried to do that the last 2 weeks. And I mean, they can't run the ball. They can't even sniff any semblance of a run game right now.
Yeah, it's bad. I would consider, this is just me, I would consider going Elton Jenkins at guard, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, if he's any kind of a center at all, put Sean Ryan at center. That would then eliminate his false starts. And if Jordan Morgan is capable of playing the right guard position and Zach Tom when he comes back at the right tackle, that would be what I would consider doing. At least then the left side of your offensive line is completely solidified. It goes back to what it was. Because right now, Banks is garbage. Banks is not playing well. Hobbs is not playing well. The 2 pickups this offseason, other than Parsons, not playing well. I would consider that. Now, it's early in the season, and they won't do it, but you got to start thinking about how you're going to fix this offensive line to be able to grind on the run game. And the offensive line didn't settle in yesterday a little bit better. We'll talk more about that coming up. They did play a little bit better, but early on in ball games, they've not looked good. I'll tell you that. More of the Green and Gold postgame show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back home after that 40-40 tie last night in Dallas. It was a frustrating night for Green Bay, who jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead, but mistakes in special teams and turnovers fueled the Cowboys' comeback. In the end, they gave up 40 points to Green Bay, tying the most the team has given up under Coach Matt Lafleur. The letdown clear, in edge rusher Micah Parsons' word, especially considering what the offense had done.
I'm not going to lie, I'm pissed off. I'm very disappointed overall how we performed. I even told Jordan to the side, thank you for having our back today. That's why it's so pivotal to play complementary football, because today Jordan played like the player he was, and we let him down. We didn't live up to the expectations on defense.
Parsons and the rest of the team going to have to wait an extra week to get that taste out of their mouths as they hit the bye week 2-1-1. That should allow some of their injured players, including 3 of their top 6 offensive linemen, to heal. They'll return against the Bengals at Lambeau Field the following week. Turning to Wisconsin, they're prepping for their trip to number 20 Michigan on Saturday. Wolverines have been installed as a 16.5-point favorite. Biggest spread between the two sides since at least 1997. Kick on Saturday is at 11.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Brewers are in wait-and-see mode now after closing the season with a win over the Reds yesterday to get to a franchise-best 97 victories. Now they'll wait for their opponent in the National League Divisional Series. It will either be the Cubs or Padres, the series starting in Milwaukee on Saturday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome in, the Bill Michaels Show. On a Green and Gold Monday, thanks for hanging out with us and venting and getting emotionally vested into what we witnessed last night. Certainly appreciate you being here. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Coming up in the last hour of the program, Mike Clemens is going to be joining us. Did you know that the Packers, when you start to look at some of these teams, when you look at the most offense by quarter or in the second half, the Packers right now ranked 6th in the league. 6th in the league. Averaging 13.5 points. Baltimore at 19.3. Detroit 18. Buffalo 18. Washington 15. The Jets 13. The Packers 13.5. 13.3 for Carolina and such. When you look at things through the defensive optics, they're giving up more points in the second half than they are in the first half. Now, sometimes teams are trailing, so therefore they start wailing the ball around and they, they're moving the ball downfield. But you look at some of the teams at the bottom of the league: Tennessee, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. So the Packers, you look at statistics and you look at some of these different rankings, and the first 2 games really got the Packers off to a tremendous start. And they're skewed right now. The last 2 games have just been bad. There's a lot of people sending me different statistics, and you can't really get a great gauge for a team until you're probably 6-7 games in as to who they really are. Over the last 2 games, they stunk. Over the first 2 games, they were really good against really good teams. What do you make of it?
Well, you earlier on in the show said, well, the first 2 games showed us this. The second 2 games showed us this. You were kind of asking if those first 2 games were a mirage.
Yeah.
Their defense played unbelievable last week in a loss, and their offense, I would argue, played pretty unbelievable last night in a tie. Do you feel worse about their talent, or do you feel worse about their maturity and their execute? Because to me, it's the second thing, and I still am hopeful that they can fix that and get better at that throughout the year.
Yeah, I feel bad about how they've regressed. But I look at, the fumble puts their back against the wall, the blocked field goal. Here's one of the things, and this was brought up by David. David said, you talk about the momentum being sucked out of the room and on the blocked PAT taken back for the 2-point conversion. And I did. And he said, what you have to look at is, and he's correct. David says, what you have to look at is Matt LaFleur's ability to get a defense up, and then he's got or Hafley in parentheses, or Hafley to get a defense up to say, we have to go back out and reestablish our dominance. And they weren't able to do that. They played like all of a sudden they were down and their backs were against the wall when they were still, in essence, winning the ball game. And that's true. That's where you need to say, okay, we're done. We're not going to allow this to happen. That's when you need a defense to go out, oh, okay, we're going to go out and kick your ass and retake control of this game. Give the ball back to the offense. The offense goes and scores. And all you say is, well, that was an apparition. That bad play happened, but you're not going to steal our game. You're not going to steal our momentum. And that's what you need out of a nasty kick your ass defense. And so when we talk about regression, yeah, again, I said, and a lot of teams are like this. So this is not master of the obvious. This is very much master of the obvious here. But the Packers are front runners. When they're faced with adversity, there's a sphincter tightening on a whole new epic level. And we've seen it time and again. How many times do you see something bad happen and we've all looked at each other and went, uh-oh, because it's coming. Here it comes. The end of a game that's going to be close. It shouldn't be close. They should have imposed their will. They weren't able to impose their will. Next thing you know, boom, sphincter tightening. And all of a sudden it's a game and you're biting your nails. When was the last time we went, oh, wow, that defense went out and just said, no, not going to happen. We're going to take management back to all of this. And we've seen it happen. So that's a great point, David. That's a really great point. Michael says, we heard all this talk about Matthew Golden, that he was going to be the savior at wide receiver this year. Dobbs is still the number 1 guy. It's going to be a bummer when he's gone after this season. That long reception by Golden was actually lucky. That was a mirror route with Wicks. Golden, I would guess, was supposed to take the inside turn. The ball was probably intended for Wicks. 2 receivers in the same spot. Usually bad things happen. And Musgrave put that guy in a milk carton. My biggest concern with Matt LaFleur, and believe me, there are many, is that he still seems to be learning on the job. as he goes, and it's his 7th year. Poor game management being the biggest. I'm tired of hearing him. We need to get better, and it starts with me. Wash, rinse, repeat. On defense, Parsons was doubled a lot. Gary and Van Ness didn't win enough on the one-on-one battles, period. The offensive line, well, we better not hear how they were 7 and 8 deep anymore, because that's just simply not true. Moving an above-average right guard to center was a mistake. Morgan is a project, just another first-round project that the Packers have. Okay, there's a couple of things here. First of all, I did not expect Matthew Golden to come out and be Igabuka right away. Remember, and we've talked to Paul Charchian about this, Justin Jefferson didn't become Justin Jefferson until game 6, 7, or 8. That's when he really started to get a feel for the game, and we're seeing now Matthew Golden be used more. The pass to Golden over the middle, sitting in 3, it was a really, if you look at it, it was a really good play. What he did was he exploited the zone. They were playing deep. They wanted to make sure nothing got past them. He sat in the middle of 3 guys and knew enough not to keep going. He understood it enough to go, turn around and sit right here. You're in an open space, sit right here, and Love drilled it. The pass to Wicks, I believe it was to Wicks, but Golden had enough wherewithal to be able to track the ball and go get it, and Wicks had enough wherewithal not to go up and fighting for it. It was a good play. I like the fact that he tracked the ball. I mean, you could look at it to the positive side of things. So Matthew Golden's still learning. And I don't expect him to be great. What I expect him to do is to be able to get open and be a contributor to this point until he can emerge. You're right. Dobbs is the number one guy. And Dobbs is, and I talked about this earlier, Dobbs' route running has become so much better. His wiggles have become so much better. His hip movement, his ability to separate has become so much better. It's like he went away in the offseason and just concentrated on it. When you watch him, especially like tomorrow when the All-22 comes out, when you watch him, his separation has gotten better. His hand play downfield has gotten so much better. I would assume they're going to figure out something to do with him. I don't know if you're just going to let him walk at the end of the season.
Can I say on Matthew Golden, I wrote this down last night. When he's had an opportunity to play legit wide receiver down the field, he's been really good.
Yeah.
What I'm confused by is why I like a jet sweep, or I like some of that stuff. That's not his game. That wasn't his game in college. He's a bona fide down the field wide receiver. And when he's had opportunities to do that stuff, he's been good, but they seem intent on making him a gadget guy and using him on punt returns. And those are two things he never did in Texas. So I don't really get that.
The punt return thing, I don't want to see him or Dobbs back there. That to me, that would be a Savion Williams thing.
Which, by the way, Rich Bisaccia, in your wisdom, that was your coaching thing. It's like, well, Golden's not ready to do it. So you put the number one wide receiver back there? Like, that was your brilliant, whatever. If he catches it and doesn't fumble it, I don't care. But sorry, man, like, I just expect a little bit higher level special teams work than that.
I don't, unless I get that punt returns and kick returns, punt returns specifically, there's an art to it. First of all, first and foremost, you have to hang on to the football. You got to be smart about it. But I'm not downplaying Romeo Dobbs' ability, because he can get hurt at any point in time. But a guy that's got a history, a propensity for concussions, there's no tougher play than to field a punt, and all of a sudden you look forward and there's a guy that's just cleaning your clock. And we saw that happen with Matthew Golden. You're already wearing the Great Gazoo helmet for a reason. And now you want to put him back there to throw him even in more of harm's way? I didn't agree with that. That's what Savion Williams is for. And I know the end arounds and those, the circle routes where, you've got Golden running around the quarterback and then back out again. And you're putting all of that on film for a reason. I get it. But it's becoming a little obvious, much like we saw last year. Like, some of them worked early on, and then midseason they weren't working anymore. Because the minute you saw them go in motion, you knew exactly what it was. We were pointing it out in the press box. If we can figure it out, most defensive coordinators can. So you were pointing it out in the press box. But I not a fan of some of that stuff. However, I can't quibble with it, much like others and Gerard and everybody were very vocal, because they were scoring touchdowns. It's not like the offense was inept. People are acting like this offense didn't score anything. They put up 40 points. Oh my God, it's terrible. How many did they score? 40? Oh, okay.
Jordan Love led 4 separate go-ahead or game-tying drives in the fourth quarter overtime. They were moving the ball.
Yeah.
I don't hate the jet sweeps like a lot of people just hate them. I don't know that last night was the night for that. Dallas's pass defense sucks.
Right.
And Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs, it looked like that playoff game in 2023. Let them do more of that stuff. I get it last week against Cleveland because you couldn't pass block, you couldn't run. You just had to try everything. You didn't need to throw the kitchen sink at Dallas's defense last night. And I feel like Matt Lafleur did a little bit too much of that.
By the way, the big announcement last night, and I saw you put this in the notes just a second ago, is the Bad Bunny thing. Kate and I were talking about this last night because Kate, obviously younger, very much on the social media aspect of it. You know, Bad Bunny, I think, is hosting Saturday Night Live, the premiere this weekend. So there's 50 million followers.
He has more streams globally than Taylor Swift does.
Yes.
He's massive.
So massive star. And one of the things that I stated when people give us, hey, it should have been this, it should have been, these different rock stars and all this different stuff, or country stars. People, the one thing you have to understand, and we'll see, because if Bad Bunny puts on a bad show and it's just widely criticized, the NFL will look at it as how many people were viewing it, how big was it, which means how many eyes were on it, which means how much money can we make off of it to our sponsors, to the Pepsi,
how much engagement, how many people are tweeting about it,
to
all
the
that stuff.
to the Pepsi halftime show and to Apple. Okay. And I said this a long time ago, and I'll say it again. And I hate to be the big bucket of cold water in your NFL face. The NFL doesn't give two damns about you as the fan. They really don't. They don't. They don't give anything about you as the fan. They love to pimp you up and trot you out there. Look at these people jumping off onto tables in Bill's Mafia, and look at the great fans out here in Green Bay, and but they don't give two damns. All they care about is ratings and global viewing and money. Period. End of story. Jerry Jones said it last night. When Jerry Jones was asked specifically about the game, he said, it was a great spectacle for the NFL. It was a proud product for the NFL. It was a tie, but it was a battle, and you were watching it through, probably last night, one of the highest rated games. You were watching it through the overtime, which means they got bonus play out of that last night on NBC. And it's true. It's 100% true. That's all they care about. It's the money and the ratings. So therefore, they can have more revenue share, they can give more money to the players, and the owners can pocket more money down the road. That's the reason they started taking games overseas. They're in Buenos Aires. They're in Dublin, Ireland now. They're in London. They're in Germany. They're in Mexico. Why do you think they're doing it? Because they're sucking up global revenue. They don't give two damns that we think of it as an American game. All they want to do is expand it. And they want to bring in more and more and more viewers. That's the reason they pimp up Taylor Swift whenever she's in the house. That's the reason they are opening up these specifically girl-only flag football leagues, all of that stuff, because they just want more eyes on the NFL. And the more eyes equal more money, because they can sell it for more and more and more. And that's all they care about. So we'll see. But if you and I hate it because we don't know this, by the way, I don't think he has any songs in English. I don't know if people know that or not, but I don't think he has any songs in English. Kate and I were talking about that last night, that he doesn't have any. I think Kate's the one that told me that. As a matter of fact, no songs in English. They're all in Spanish. And you'd think, well, then why would they do it? For the exact reason I just told you. They don't give two damns about the American audience. They just want the global eyes on it, totality, when it comes to their biggest spectacle, because they can sell it for more money.
Well, and Ebo and I talked about this morning in the last half hour of his show. If you love Garth Brooks, or you go see those people in concert. It's better anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't,
right.
I understand we love talking about the Super Bowl halftime show. Don't look at that 20 minutes as your, it's a TV concert,
right,
for most of us. So we're going to talk about it and it's fun. But I love country music. I wish they'd do well, then go to a country concert. You love more fun anyways. It's 15 minutes on TV.
Right. It's just, that's what their thought is. They, like I said, all this talk about all these things for the fans and engagement and this and that, all they want are the numbers. They will do anything and everything for the numbers, and anything that hurts the Shield, hurts their viewability, hurts people coming after them in a negative way, they want to eliminate. But if you're coming at them in a negative way because Bad Bunny worldwide, and you've got 2 billion Americans saying it sucked, but you've got 8 billion people on the outside looking at it going, it was great, you don't matter. That's it. Period. Let's do this. We're going to break. I'll take a quick one and come back. We got a lot more to get to. Coming up next, what are we doing next year? Who are we going to hear from?
Well, we haven't done Jordan Love yet. We could do that. We also have Mike and Whitewater on hold.
Let's do this. When we come back, I want you to listen to Jordan Love. We'll do that. We'll take some calls. We got Jordan Love, all that kind of good stuff coming up. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show on a Green and Gold Monday. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right now.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The power of friendship has spawned a memorable baseball season in Milwaukee. When you choose to work with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the relationship is more than what feels like having a friend. Pella honors trust and commitment on your behalf, before, during, and after the sale. They take those values to heart with every person the Pella team works with. It's natural to feel a little apprehensive about having someone visit your home, but take it from me and my wife. The brilliant Pella designers immediately put you at ease with their experience and professionalism. We love that initial visit, along with how easy they made it to envision bringing our project to life. Pella is committed to being the company everyone wants to do business with, and they've certainly lived up to that and more. And with this month's incredible deal, Gina Della from Pella is here to share why you shouldn't wait to order new windows and doors.
Order today and get 0% interest for up to 60 months. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 9/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Green and Gold Monday after a lackluster performance down in Dallas. Not the way you wanted it to end by any stretch of the imagination. Welcome back to the program. This portion of it brought to you by our good friends over there at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. They had a big meat raffle over the weekend and continue to raise money for charity. Look for our event. I'll tell you the date as we solidify it. It's probably going to be coming up in November, but also going to be doing some stuff with our friends out there at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill on a weekend. So keep it in mind as we're going to be doing some fundraising for Big Unit Foundation. But Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill in Pewaukee Lake, always a tremendous place to go. And great people over there, even better. And the food is fantastic. So if you're going to stop over there for lunch or even dinners, that's Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee. Let's do this. We'll get a couple of phone calls in, and then we'll get to Jordan Love coming up here, bottom of the hour. Our buddy Mike is in Whitewater. Mike, how you doing, man?
Hey, it's Rockford. I don't know why he said Whitewater.
Oh,
Mike and
crap. That's my bad.
There you go.
That's okay. It's your regular caller, Bill. I talked to you last night. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, brother, I love you. I can't tell you how much I agree with you, what you're talking about the NFL, how it's all about money. And that's actually leading to the point of my call. I wanted to speak to you about how the game has completely changed. Even going back to the 80s, watching teams, growing up in Chicago, unfortunately, I was always a Packer fan, but I had to suffer through the years of the Bears dominating defense. If any defense is strong, Bill, now it's negated by these officiating BS calls. You can't hit a guy low. You can't hit a guy high. Defenseless player. Everybody's a defenseless player, right? Come on now. They're all defenseless. The game changes. It's all about money. It's all about money. It's all about points. It's all about scoring. It's the parlay in Vegas so that they can get the money. It's all about points, high scoring. That game last night, by the way, I heard on another radio station that drew a massive amount of crowd, being that the Packers and the Cowboys are probably two of the high top end, franchises for television ratings. Right. And that game went down to the wire, and we know that they didn't win. But Bill, I'll tell you, the game has just changed drastically. But this is what I want. My question to you is going forward. We don't know through 4 games what kind of team we have. I know on paper the Packers have a good roster. I know the first 2 games they play good. I can't figure it out, Bill. You have the Detroit Lions who laid an egg against the Packers. Look like utter crap first game, right? They go and they take care of the Browns 37 or whatever it was, 13 or whatever. I don't know what the score was, but they beat them really good. Packers couldn't put points up on the Browns. Detroit did. Packers annihilated Detroit. The Bears only allowed the Cowboys to score 17 points. The Packers allowed the Cowboys to score 40. But listen, if you can't score on the Cowboys, there's something definitely wrong with you. I mean, the Cowboys made the Bears offense look like unbelievable. So I knew the Packers had to put a high play. They had to put up a high score. But where I'm going with this, Bill, is where are we? What are we going to do with the way the defense is? This team is built right now. The defense to win these games. The offense is good. They're coming around, but the defense is what wins game. But when you've got these calls, and what the heck was this non-intentional grounding call that didn't happen? Like I called Evo this morning. Was there a ghost out there? And Bill, it boils down to this. It's one of 2 things. Either the officiating is this embarrassingly bad, or I hate to go down the conspiracy highway, or is this stuff fixed? And it can only be one of the 2. And if it's either one, it's scary either way. It's scary either way, because there is no way you're going to sit there and tell me that they couldn't see it. There was 4 officials right there, and you mean to tell me that not one of them said, "Where's the guy?" There wasn't a guy for 20 yards. Yeah, there wasn't a guy anywhere near where Dak Prescott threw that ball. It was a joke.
I completely agree with that.
It was a complete joke.
That and the call that was not made on the Dontavian Wicks pass down the sideline, where he basically got mugged and thrown to the ground as the ball was in the air. And they didn't call that either. But then again, they also called an unsportsmanlike conduct on one of the offensive linemen for Dallas, and that was kind of a weak call. So, I mean, Mike, and I appreciate the phone call. It all evens out. I really believe that. It has the ability at times to put you behind the 8 ball in specific drives. That I agree with. I think that particular call, the grounding call, that's something that they're going to have to explain. because I don't understand what the thought process or the logic was behind that. And I agree with you. But I also look at some of these calls that the Packers have been benefactors of. And I listened to the game too with even, Larry McCarron going, oh, well, we got away with one there, Wayne or whatever. It kind of evens out. It really does. I mean, I know people don't think about it because we only look at the negative calls that go against the Packers, but it's not just here. There was a couple of calls. There was one yesterday in the game between the Bears and the Raiders. That was a roughing call. And even the commentators like, if that's roughing, I don't even know what roughing is anymore, because I think it went against the Raiders, but it was like, what are you seeing that we're not? So anyway, that portion of it I get. Going back to what is this team? We don't know. The next 3 games are going to tell you what this team is, because you'll be 7 games into the season at that point. And usually 5 or 6 games, you kind of know what you are. And then it's just whether or not you can get a little bit better down the road. But you'll find out. These next 2 weeks, get a little bit healthy, get a few guys back, and then get guys back together. You'll know. You'll figure out what you are, whether you're a true contender. And this is the reason that I said earlier, going back to the reality that nobody wants to face, is that this team, and again, in the comparison to a team that is right now the reigning champion in Philadelphia, who is being widely criticized for an offense that seems to be inept. They don't show up at times. They don't have big passing yards. The running game is not what it was last year with Saquon Barkley. Their defense is nowhere near as dominant, but they come up with big plays in key moments to win games. They have what's considered to be championship mettle. And the Packers, in the last 2 games, have shown up to show you and I and the rest of the world they don't have championship mettle right now. And we keep talking about being young and this and that. Well, they're bringing in veterans to be voices. They're bringing in veterans to be better players. They've brought guys in to be good. And now you're relying upon Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, Micah Parsons. You can't rely on Banks. You can't rely on Hobbs. Right now, they're not even playing well. It's go get your own stuff in order before you start telling the rest of the world how great you got to be, or the guys inside a locker room. You got to get yourself in order. So I don't know what this team is right now. I don't know how much better they're going to be, quite honestly. But I do know one thing. You can't stand in front of the podium anymore and talk about special teams and say, well, we're going to get it fixed. Well, we got to practice and get better. I keep going back to, if you can't focus, if you can't play right, if you can't play hard, you can stand next to me and watch the game. When Matt Lafleur said that last year, of which we have seen no one held accountable in that fashion. Because you can lose these games and tie these games just as easy with inept players or players that are less than starters, because you're losing them anyway. But it's almost like you need something to grab someone by the face mask to say, this is unacceptable. You either have championship mettle or you don't. You either have focus or you don't. You either have attention to detail or you don't. And this is one of those turning points. So hopefully over the next 2 weeks, they get that fixed. Let's do this. Same thing. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. You're going to hear from Jordan Love as he spoke last night. Take a listen to what he has to say. We got a lot of people inside the locker room, too, that Mike Clemens had a chance to chat with. We'll hear from Mike almost the entire next hour, so don't go anywhere. This portion of it brought to you by our good friends over there at Marquardt, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. That is MarquardtRV.com. And they pride themselves in service both during and after the sale, specifically after, because you want to make sure that your entire RVing, camping, quote, experience, you get the most out of it. And you don't want to go out into whatever area it is that you're going to use your vehicle and not know how to use it or have continual problems. So they want to make sure you know everything. You know everything from how to fix and troubleshoot to understanding what your vehicle can and can't do. So that's the reason they try to get you in the exact thing that you need, that fits your budget, that fits your wants, that fits your life desires, and then kind of go on from there. That's what they do. Go to Marquardt, MARKQUART. Anybody can sell you something, but it's how they treat you during and after the sale. That's what matters. MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. That's MarquardtRV.com. We'll hear from Jordan Love coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Last night's game ended in a tie. We heard Matt Lafleur earlier. Mike Clemens coming up in the next hour. This is Jordan Love taking questions after the ball game last night. Take a listen.
Manual, and then the last play there.
Yeah, so we tried running a double move, kind of off the play. We ran right before that, and their defense, they were playing pretty soft. We didn't get the look we wanted, and so threw it to E. Was hoping we could make somebody miss, and we didn't. So obviously a moving clock situation. No timeouts left. We got to get a call in, and we had a good call on, and we just didn't execute it. I don't think everybody was on the same page with what needed to happen, and something that we got to fix. We got to clean up and be better because it was ended up being really, really close with only 1 second left.
So coming out of the timeout, you guys had 2 plays called in case someone did go down in bounds. Basically, the timeout after the screen to Golden, Matt gave you 2 plays.
After the screen to Golden?
Yeah. Then Matt called the timeout, and then are you saying you guys had 2?
No, we got to a running clock call. One of our just on the ball calls where everybody was just figuring it out on the move.
Conscious, or how conscious were you of that clock ticking down?
Yeah, no, I was conscious of it. Matt was in my ear saying ozone. We knew before that it was going to be an ozone situation if we did get tackled on bounds. So, it's one of those situations where it took us the operation right there. It just took too long. We were wasting too much time right there, and that's really it.
Yeah. How would you evaluate the way you guys managed that overtime drive?
Yeah, I think we moved the ball. That's what you want to do. You move the ball well. I think I think the sad part is we didn't be able to take any shots right there to the end zone until that last play, which is tough. I think we had a good play called, and they, didn't play the way we thought they were going to play like they did the play before that. So, I think there's a lot of stuff that we still have to clean up, just throwing the ball in bounds and a running clock situation right there. So there's stuff that we got to figure out and be better at right there in that situation.
You have 1 second left on that final field goal. Any part in your mind better just want to say screw the tie and take one more shot at the end zone there?
I don't know. I wasn't really thinking that.
You had 40 points tonight, and it's the first time of your career. I imagine if I told you coming in you'd have 40 points, you would have thought it'd be a tie, obviously. How's it feel to not win or lose? What's going through your mind?
No, it sucks. It doesn't feel good. It feels kind of weird. It's my first time going through a tie. It feels weird to, play a full game and end in a tie. So it's definitely tough. Like you said, I think offensively we did some good things. I still think we left a lot out there. I still think there's some drives that we didn't execute well. I think, obviously the end of half situation, turning the ball over and putting them in a scoring position. So I think there's a lot of stuff we left out there, but as an offense, to be able to keep battling, keep answering, and to stay in that game with some obviously to be able to go down, kick the field goal to tie it up and go to overtime. But I still think there's so much more out there that we just got to keep executing.
Ideally, what happens on the screen to Golden? Are you hoping he just gets 7 yards and gets out of bounds? Or, is there anything in particular there? And is that the call? You go into that no matter what.
Yeah, it was a run pass option, so we can either run it or throw it, and we missed the block. We didn't get the block on the corner. He made a good play, and so he tackled us short. We've run that play a couple times throughout the night and executed it better, blocked it better, and were able to get good gains. So we just didn't execute it right there.
Sorry, when you say ozone, is that just everyone go to the end zone or you throw it out of bounds?
Ozone is out of bounds or in the end zone. So you obviously running clock, you don't want to get tackled in bounds and have the clock. You don't have timeouts, so it's got to be out of bounds or in the end zone.
What do you think of just the decision to try and be aggressive there at the end of the first half? And I'm not saying there's something you could have done differently, but you guys had no timeouts. I think 21 seconds left on your own 25. How confident were you that you could get into field goal range?
Man, I like it. I always like being aggressive. I think if we hit a big chunk right there, we'd have time to get up and clock it and get in field goal range. And I think we had a couple ops. I think some of the plays we ran, we had one to Rome I missed, but we had a couple,
chances to get some big plays, and it's just unfortunate that it happened the way it did. Like I've said before, they're good as well. They made a really good play right there, being able to get a strip sack. But I would never say that. I just want to take it to the half right there. I think if we got time, definitely try and be aggressive right there and finish with a kick or something.
Did you like the feeling of going second in overtime? And what is that like when you're waiting for your turn?
Yeah, no, I do like the decision to go second. I think you want to see kind of what their offense can do, and then go out there and match that. If they don't score, we just need a field goal to win it. So, yeah.
Your one last play, did you get the defense you were looking for, and was it more your guys weren't as precise?
Say that again, sorry.
I thought the last play, did you get the defense you were expecting for that play? And then was it just, were things just a little bit off on it?
No, that's a play where, you don't really know what defense you're going to get right there. You're just trying to get on the ball, call as fast as possible, get on the ball and get everybody to the end zone and take a shot right there. And so, you don't know what they're going to run right there. They ended up going Tampa 2, and we got a shot to the end zone, and we just didn't hit on it. So, yeah.
Jordan, when Micah was in here, he was talking about, he told you that defense didn't hold up their part, but how do you think Micah handled this whole week in this game and a big play in overtime that kept them from scoring a touchdown?
Yeah, no, I think Micah is a pro. I think he shows up every day, competes at a very high level. He's the same player in practice that he is on game day. And so I think obviously for him, there's probably a lot of motion coming back here, and I want to have a great game. And like you said, he made a big time play right there, and when they were close to the end zone. So, it's tough. Obviously we want to go out there and win this game, and you battle a game like this, you don't want to end it in a tie.
Last week and this week, you guys keep saying, we're not enough for a standard. Obviously, when you don't win, the standard is too much. What do you feel like specifically needs to be corrected in the bye week to reach whatever standard you got?
Yeah, I still think there's just little small details, on a handful of plays, and we'll go back and watch it on film. But there's just those small details where, in the grand scheme of a game, those are things that, it comes down to. Those things that can win you a game or lose you a game. And I think there's just a lot of stuff that we still got to clean up. And there's still, obviously, pre-snap penalties, things like that, which we got to clean up the operation. But there's just little details on a handful of plays where, we just gotta lock in and focus on every drive. So it'll be good stuff to go and watch on film. But like I said, there's been a handful of plays throughout the beginning of the season.
You guys were quite a high how the first 2 weeks went. Haven't won since. Has anything the past couple of weeks led you to have any doubt about what this team is ready to be and can be this season?
No, not at all. I think. I think, like you said, we've shown what we're about when we're playing very well, and we just got to do that. We got to be consistent every day, whether it's practice, games. Every time we touch the field, we got to be consistent. Like I said, there's just a lot of little areas that if we clean up and execute at a better clip, we'll be the team we want to be. So I have no doubt in that. I know we're still a really good team, but it comes down to on Sundays coming out here and performing, executing at a high level. And so, there is some disappointment in these past 2 weeks, but there's still a lot of stuff to clean up. And, we still got a long season ahead of us, and I still know what type of team we are.
On a 4th and 7 in overtime, you hit MG over the middle. Discuss that play. What was that play? And then is it after you cross the 50, you kind of go to a tune off that way, tune drill to get down the goal line?
Yeah, 4th down. We had a pretty good play dialed up for what defense they're running. We were working MG in the middle. He was running a kind of a read route and was able to get the Mike running and opened up a hole right there for himself. So that play, I think was executed really well, and it got to have that situation right there. So then, like you said, after that, it does turn into that kind of 2 minute. You only got one timeout, so we got to go. We got to go and take some shots to the end zone. All right, thank you guys.
There you go, Jordan Love. He kind of said at one point they weren't on the same page, and he talked about taking shots at the end zone, not spiking the football. I don't know what I totally glean out of all of that. I mean, and did he kind of, I don't think he was trying to throw Matt Lafleur under the bus. Maybe he was talking about the guys in the huddle. The whole sense of urgency thing, the explanation, I did appreciate in the beginning. He's like, that's the first time I've ever been a part of something like that. So that's what I said. Like, this is your learning moment. The end of a ball game is one thing. The end of overtime is another. It's just two different animals. This is your learning moment. And hopefully you understand it and leave that circumstance better because now you've been through it. But I know he's been coached not to really give out details. Far different than Aaron Rodgers. And he's not Aaron, so I'm not going to get into that comparison. But it's like, well, we got to look at the film. We got to get better. And he's right. I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to the offense as a whole, he talked about some of the pre-snap penalties and some of the things that have put them behind the eight ball. It's little things. It's some cleanup of details. And we all hate the word cleanup because that's a cliche speak for we've got some issues that we can't fix or that we need to hold people accountable behind closed doors. But the final segment, which they kept coming back to, he was talking about urgency and about Matt getting the play in and then calling two plays, but wanting to take a shot, but yet they need to take a shot downfield. It's like, well, wait a minute. Were you taking the shot downfield or were you not? And was there an understanding there or a misunderstanding there? Did you get any of that, Grant? I mean, I kind of get lost in the word salad every now and then. I start to roll my eyes back in my head when I hear this, the cliche, but did you get that? What he was trying to express?
Yeah, he's mostly just up there filling time. That's what most quarterbacks do. I mean, Rodgers is such an outlier for so long.
Yeah.
Most quarterbacks, if you listen to Mahomes or Allen, we got to be better. It starts with me. Yeah. Everybody's got to blah, blah, blah. The weird thing is, and again, he's up there filling time, so I don't even know that it's worth breaking down. But when he said, well, we got a shot at the end zone, we just didn't hit it. I'm like, man, that was such a fire drill. Like he made it sound like, well, we got a play that we drew up, which should not be the case. Like that's not even close to how that should have gone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. I mean, it could have been where somebody ran a wrong route or whatever, and he just wanted to keep it close to the vest, and you can appreciate that. But it just seemed like there was a lot of word salad to basically cover up the question of why wasn't the process better in the last 30 seconds of this ball game? And he talked about plays and getting in on time and calling two plays and taking a shot and not taking a shot and why they did or didn't. And and again, I'm not sitting there behind closed doors, so I don't know what the discussion is. But I know when he came off the field, when the field goal unit went out, it was like you could see Matt Lafleur looking at him as if to say, what are you doing? Now they didn't get into that discussion because that was not what he said via his lips. But you could look at him like, where was the urgency? So sometimes I try to get, it's very difficult to get what he's not saying sometimes because he doesn't give you much, although he's gotten a lot better at talking fluidly about a lot of different things. And he knows what he can and can't say, but it's the word salad of cliches and we just got to fix it. We got to get better, and I agree with you. That's what a lot of quarterbacks do. You look at a guy like you said, Patrick Mahomes does that. I liked, last week when Baltimore played and listening to Lamar Jackson after the game, talking about specifics. I appreciated that. You always appreciate it when a quarterback will give you what's going through their mind and what they're looking for on specific plays without giving you strategic details, I guess is the best way to put it. All right, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back and get back into this and continue the discussion. Don't forget, coming up the next hour, Mike Clemens is going to join us down there in Dallas. Mike was a witness to all of this last night. Hey, by the way, got to say thanks to our friends at Buzzer Billy's. Great time this past weekend. Great time going out there. The food was fantastic. The poutine was spectacular. The Wisconsin beer cheese soup, I could have bathed in it. I got way too full. So when we left there on Thursday night, when I left there, it was very hard to get to the helm because I was walking and waddling down the street because of the quesadilla and the poutine and then the beer cheese soup. And it was awful. What'd you get, Grant? What did you get over there?
I got like 4 hush puppies because I didn't want to be I wanted to save room for
beverages,
for good times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went with a little lighter approach
because I know me and Ebo crushed that burger. He had a big old burger, man. He was like, protein meat, So he crushed the burger, but it was a good time. That was a lot of fun. Great margaritas, great beverage. What'd you guys drink? Were you drinking Crown and something or other?
Oh, we were drinking beer, and then Ebo started ordering Corbel, so I followed his lead. We had tequila later.
Yeah.
It's just a fun variety.
Yeah, Buzzard Billy's was a fun time. We'll just put it that way. And like I said, we got to say hi to our guy Ian, who joined us over there and said hello. And always great to see people that come out and say hi to us. But we had a lot of fun at Buzzard Billy's, Starlight Lounge upstairs, Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Tremendous hospitality. Kate behind the bar was a lot of fun to hang out with. And I can't remember the girl that, who was the server that we were talking to? Do you remember what her name was?
I can't remember.
Yeah, she was telling us fun stories too. So
it was a good time.
Yeah,
I can only remember some of it.
It was
a
great.
blast.
We had a lot of fun. Buzzard Billy's right there on Pearl Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card this October for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to rake in a huge pile of cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at potawatomi.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back in on a Monday. It's portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors in Wisconsin. 0% financing and a line to fit your lifestyle, your wants, your needs, your budget. That's our friends at Pella. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Check it out, just like I did, and I ended up putting in the beautiful Pella Windows and Doors down in the great room, which keeps the great room right there, 69, 70 degrees, never moves. Doesn't matter if it's summer or wintertime. It's perfect, perfect. And the best part about it is all the windows, all the doors in my house lock and lock up tight. So when you lay your head on your pillow at night, unless you open them, ain't nobody getting in unless they drive a car through there. I'm telling you that right now. It's great stuff from our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Coming up in the next hour, Mike Clemens is going to join us from Dallas and get a little more insight from Mike and hear some of the sights and sounds from inside the locker room from last night after what just felt like a loss. It just felt bad, for lack of a better term. So we'll get into all of that. And I know Mark and a couple of people said, we're not talking about the Brewers. We'll get into it tomorrow. Today's a Green and Gold Monday. We will talk some more Brewers baseball coming up tomorrow in the program. Also, we'll talk more about it as the week draws on. You're going to see beginning tomorrow night the Cubs and the Padres, and the winner of that series will then enter into American Family Field to take on the Brewers. And hopefully the Brewers have regrouped, gotten a little rest, and get right back at it. So we'll get into that discussion coming up starting tomorrow. Today, though, we still got to round things out. More of the Green and Gold Monday. A Green and Gold Monday will continue. So don't go anywhere. Mike Clemens from Dallas going to be joining us coming up here in about 15 minutes. Stay right where you're at. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back home after that 40-40 tie last night in Dallas. It was a frustrating night for Green Bay, who jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead, but mistakes in special teams and turnovers fueled the Cowboys' comeback. In the end, they gave up 40 points to Green Bay, tying the most the team has given up under coach Matt Lafleur. They let down clear and edge rusher Micah Parsons' word, especially considering what the offense had done.
I'm not going to lie, I'm pissed off. I'm very disappointed overall how we performed. I even told Jordan to the side, thank you for having our back today. That's why it's so pivotal to play complimentary football, because today Jordan played like the player he was, and we let him down. We didn't live up to the expectations on defense.
Parsons and the rest of the team going to have to wait an extra week to get that taste out of their mouths as they hit the bye week 2-1-1. That should allow some of their injured players, including 3 of their top 6 offensive linemen, to heal. They'll return against the Bengals at Lambeau Field the following week. Turning to Wisconsin, they're prepping for their trip to number 20 Michigan on Saturday. Wolverines have been installed as a 16.5-point favorite, biggest spread between the two sides since at least 1997. Kick on Saturday is at 11.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Brewers are in wait-and-see mode now after closing the season with a win over the Reds yesterday to get to a franchise-best 97 victories. Now they'll wait for their opponent in the National League Divisional Series. It will either be the Cubs or Padres, the series starting in Milwaukee on Saturday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil for it.
Today has flown by, and we've got one more hour yet to go. It seems like we just went on the air. Recapping last night's lackluster performance might be the best way to put it, a kind way to put it. On a Green and Gold Monday, Packers and Dallas Cowboys tie 40 apiece. A lot of angry fans today, and I understand that. This one's from Chris, who says, can you please explain to me why this is a good thing? People keep saying a tie is not bad. I look at a tie as you could not do enough to win the ball game. Therefore, you're accepting a tie. First of all, they're not accepting it. They played conservative down the stretch in that sense, and they went for the field goal. They didn't want to take the loss. Depends on where your confidence level is, I guess, and you're playing against the odds. On the fourth down, I thought they'd go for it rather than try to draw them off sides and then end up punting the ball away. You want the riverboat gambler when you're successful, and you criticize the gambler when you're not. The only way that works is if it works. But the only time a tie is good, and I'll give you the example I gave last night. I think it was Mike from Rockford that actually asked, why would that be a good thing? Let's say you go on to win 12 more games, and 10 more games, and you're 12-4-1. Okay. Well, if you end up with, if say the Lions end up with 12 wins as well, you win the division. You win the division because that half game that became the tie gives you the edge. That's it. But that's the only reason a tie can benefit you. So if say you end up with 12 wins and they end up with 13 wins and they're 13-4 and you're 12-4-1, then you obviously end up, the game that you couldn't win cost you. But the only time a tie is good is if you have a tiebreaker in record down the stretch. That's the only time it's good. So that's it. I think ties suck. My personal opinion. I think ties suck.
I think it's better than a loss, and that's about the only silver lining, right? I don't think anybody's celebrating a tie here.
Yeah, nobody's looking at a tie going, oh, this could be a good thing. The only way it could be a good thing is if you both have the same record, but in the loss column, you're a half game better. You're one less loss. So that's because they actually have one more loss than you. And that's where that can be beneficial. But other than that, I hate ties. It was there was one year the Packers tied and actually got into the postseason. I can't remember how long ago it was, but the tie helped them, which is why I think some people have a memory of that going, okay, this can't be this is not a bad thing. But no, it sucks. It sucks. Ties. I mean, the only thing you can say is, well, you didn't lose. But I think tie sucks. Thomas said Love had a good game. I'm not putting it on him. That D was putrid. As with special teams, the offense still looks disjointed to me. Thomas, nobody's putting it on Love. The last 30 seconds of clock management was bad. If you can't admit that, then you don't understand the game down the stretch. That's it. Love had a good game. Statistically, hell yeah. He only missed 7 throws? I think in the whole night, and was on target for most of the day. I mean, a lot of things. Out of all the things, I did a piece yesterday on Instagram and such. What I was looking for coming into that game was the Micah Parsons effect, which we saw a little bit of. We did not see a big game out of Rashawn Gary. We did not see a big game out of Lucas Van Ness. There wasn't pressure on the quarterback, but I give Schottenheimer credit, which I hate to do, but I give him credit because it was basically, Dak, you got to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. And they did crash the quarterback, but they weren't getting to him because Dak was getting rid of the ball so quick. And the Packers defensively were playing off the receivers. And there was a few times where he did have rollouts and did have some misdirection. And it bought him an extra second or two where they were able to get the ball downfield. They did the run stuffing capability after Devontae Wyatt went out was gone. They were able to run the ball at times rather well. So they did a lot of good things, but that quick release, as you know, Peyton Manning frustrated for years defenses because he was so quick in getting rid of the football. It was basically 1, 2, boom, gone. So, you know, they did that well, but defensively speaking, it was not a great performance, specifically in the second half. When they needed those big stops, they failed.
And if I'm a team that has to play the Packers in the next month, I'm going to look at what the Cowboys did offensively, because they're the only team that's been able to do anything. Like the Packers shut down their other three opponents. So that's the strategy now. You're going to have to figure out how to combat teams that get the ball out quickly.
This is from Andrew, and he says, "Hey Bill, what worries you now moving forward? Now that you've had a chance to look at this team for 4 weeks, you honestly, the trenches on both sides of the ball. If you want my honest opinion, where you win games and lose games is in the trenches. That's what bothers me. Devontae Wyatt went down. They didn't have an answer. Offensive line-wise, moving all these guys around with Zach Tom being down and Belton not being very good. And, you know, you're still trying to figure out with Elton Jenkins to kind of, you know, correct your snap counts, your timing, and, you know, him being a more aggressive player. You know, all of that the trenches right now on this team bothers me. Because if you're getting after the quarterback, if you're making big plays up front, it makes your secondary better. And we saw that in game 1 and 2. And then teams went, just get rid of the ball. Negate that pass rush, and you can beat the secondary. And that's what the Cowboys did, specifically in the second half of this ball game. And then they just kind of ground them down. And like I said, once Devontae Wyatt went out, they started to run the ball a little bit better. And that's where they got really good, because they were able to then create a mix, a balance of run-pass options. And what did they do? Let's see here. They so their fourth possession, they went 11 plays, 95 yards, touchdown. Their next, that's when the Packers, they got it back on a Packers fumble. They threw a 15-yard pass, touchdown. So we understand, you know, kind of where all of that went. Then Dallas to open up the second quarter or the second half. I thought it was great. They 5 plays, 14 yards. They had a penalty. They ended up netting 9 yards. They had 1 first down, and the Packers defense got off the field. Packers offensively go right down and score. And then after that, they get a big run back. They go 12 plays, 85 yards, touchdown. The next one, Packers go back down and score. You got momentum again. Here come the Cowboys. 14 plays, 62 yards, touchdown. You know, then the next one, 4 plays, 54 yards, big play downfield, touchdown. So basically 5 touchdowns in 6 possessions, and the 7th possession was the field goal in which they took the lead in overtime. 5 drives out of 6 resulted in a touchdown, and the Packers defensively didn't have an answer for that. So that concerns me. If you're going to say what issues do you think they have? I mean, it wasn't like Williams ran wild, but he had 100 yards on the day, 85 on the ground, 15 through the air. He averaged over 4 yards a carry. And you just can't do that. They had 117 yards on the ground and 319 through the air. You know, if you look at a lot of these, the Packers on third down, normally if I would tell you the Packers hold a team to 35% or less on third down, they own time of possession, they win the turnover battle, and they win the penalties, you'd probably go, yeah, that's a fantastic day. The Packers turned the ball over. The Cowboys didn't. The Packers won the time of possession. The Packers had less penalties than they did. They had a 7 for 53, where the Cowboys were penalized 11 for 95. The Packers had more total yards, 489 to 436. The Packers were 71.4%, 10 of 14 on third down. The Cowboys were 4 of 11 for 36.4%. Both teams were 1 for 1 on fourth downs. All the categories point to the Packers. And yet the Packers, they tie. In essence, they lost the game, but they tied and gave up a ton in the second half. Again, if I look at all of this, I'd say, man, the Packers had a hell of a day. But in big moments, they came up short. JD says they've been together now for 6 years, Lafleur and Love. They should be a lot more in sync with each other than they seem to be. We've been saying that Lafleur has been covering for Love somewhat in press coverage. But after Love's comments about getting plays in on time makes me wonder if it's actually more Lafleur than it is Jordan Love. And that's what I was saying earlier, was that is he saying that they're not getting the plays in on time? Like there's confusion there? What else do we have here? This is from Nick, who says last night the Packers scored 9 more points that the Cowboys were giving up on average over the first 3 games. Jerry Jones traded Parsons due to money and the fact that the defense was not good with him. Were the Packers fortunate in getting Detroit for the very first game? It appears so right now. Both the Cowboys and the Bengals were banged up for the game. That's from Nick. Yeah, I said at the time that, yeah, you're probably getting them at a good time before they really put everything together. They blew out. Now, granted, they had them at home in the Dome versus on the road in Cleveland, but Detroit blew out Cleveland. They beat the hell out of them. Packers couldn't do that. They went in and beat, well, now it looks like a bad Baltimore team, but they went on the road in Baltimore and they won a game, a hard-fought physical game. And they sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. Yeah, it appears like they put their train back on the track. They got it back together. The Packers have not yet. Charlie says, hey, Bill, I was listening to the show via podcast. So many have already talked about this. Is this just a matter of not playing complementary football? Last week, the defense played well, but the offense couldn't get it out of their own way. This week, the offense looked pretty good outside of the last 90 seconds of OT and a couple of periods throughout the third quarter at the end of the first half. But Love drove the team consistently on long drives, 5 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Special teams lost this with a blocked PAT ran back, which was a 3-point swing that ended up making the difference. Bisaccia needs to go. Now for the defense, what happened? Hobbs looked lost, which is what I've been saying. The team looked gassed at the end. Nixon didn't even try defending the long pass inside the 5-yard line to Tolbert. He was just standing there. He had some other great plays, but not on that one, which, again, Nixon looked the best out of the secondary. And on that particular play, that's not saying much. What were you seeing regarding the creative defensive play calling? Blitzes looked vanilla. Our edge rushers made the tackles made their offensive tackles look like pros. Micah got 1 sack at the end, but I thought the Cowboys O-line was banged up and pressure should have been relatively easy. Dak did get rid of the ball quick, but he also had a clean pocket for quite a few dropbacks and just stood back there. To Grant's point from Thursday or Friday, Dak had a great game and seems to do that in the regular season at times. Help all this make sense. 2 weeks to get healthy and hopefully back on track. As many said last night, Matt LaFleur's seat has got to be warming up, and he needs to fix this now. Light a fire under this team. This type of play is not acceptable, and they need to hear it. And thanks for the continued work. That is Charlie listening to us in Denver. I can't disagree with anything you said, Charlie. To answer your question, they did not get pressure after Devontae Wyatt went down. They did not get consistent pressure from the opposite side of Micah Parsons. The fact that their offensive line was banged up and the Packers were not able to get push and penetration on a consistent basis, it was somewhat negated by Dak Prescott. It was somewhat negated by the ability to run the ball for more than 4 yards a clip. But Dak was on. I give Dak credit. He used his feet a couple of times, made plays, found an open receiver, but they getting rid of the football quickly exposed the secondary for what it is. And that's now here's the thing, foreshadowing, look for this the remainder of the season.
There you go. Yeah, because this is how I would play. This is how I'd attack the Packers now, right? I look at this game, and it's difficult to do. You got to be able to run the ball, which the Cowboys did, and they were consistently in second and third and shorter, which means they don't have to drop back in super obvious passing situations. Mm-hmm. And they got the ball out really quickly. The Packers didn't blitz that much. They mostly rushed with 4. And for, commenters or emailers or callers, they're like, well, Dak got all the time in the world. Not really. Like anytime he took a more delayed drop back, he had guys in his face. Yeah. He just did a brilliant job of sidestepping just long enough and finding a guy who was open. Dak Prescott played really, really well, but it's not like he sat back there for 8 seconds every single play.
Yeah, no, he there was pressure, but not nearly enough. I think there was 5 pressures. That was it. 5 pressures last night on Dak Prescott.
Well, and pressures that never turned into sacks.
Right.
Big time negative plays.
Right. 100%. All right. When we come back, Mike Clemens is going to join us, and we'll talk with Mike the rest of the way down in Dallas. He was there to witness it up close and personal. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Down to 7 seconds left. As Love takes the sack. He's going to be quick. Love to the end zone. It is broken up with 1 second to go.
That was so poorly managed. Almost lost the game before they had a chance to tie.
McManus for the tie. 34. And this one is good, and this one ends in the second highest scoring tie game in NFL history. 40-40.
Doesn't feel good. 40-40 does not feel good. Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Joining us on the hotline down in Dallas, Mike Clemens, our Bill Michaels Show Packers reporter and insider. And Mike, I woke up today, I started watching that game again, knowing what the outcome was, and it still makes me feel kind of ill in my stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Green Bay was off to a good start, and then the block punt. And,
Aaron Rodgers used to say this. As much as Aaron questions the way we look at football games in the media, one thing he totally agreed with, momentum is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing. And if you're not at the game or in the press box or watching at home, if you don't think there's momentum in these things, momentum swings, and that's important, you're not really paying attention. So the Packers get the ball after Dallas goes up 40-37, and you've got about 4 or 5 minutes. Now, listen, I watch these NFL games from around the league, and half these teams have no clue how to run a 2-minute offense. And I think year after year, whether it was Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, or now Matt Lafleur and Jordan Love, these guys are some of the best at the 2-minute drill, and they drill it every day under Matt Lafleur and work on these situations. And so how this got messed up is kind of interesting. After the game, we went to Matt Lafleur. So this is going to be hard to do on the radio. I'm going to try. Those last 3 or 4 plays, you had a short pass to Dontavian Wicks, who made some big plays last night for 15 yards. Now it's 1st and 10 is the Dallas 45, 1:15 left, and I think you still got a timeout left. You only get 2 timeouts in the overtime. And Jordan Love goes to Romeo Doubs left for 6 yards. Then on 2nd down, he throws to Emmanuel Wilson off the left-hand side for 7 yards. That gets him another 1st down. Okay, so now I got to get down to 1st and 10 at the 12 with 32 seconds left, no huddle. Short pass to Matthew Golden. They lose 3 yards. Bad play. Okay, you get up to the line, and he throws a dump-off pass to Emmanuel Wilson off to the right, which loses another yard, like over the numbers.
Right.
Why aren't you trying to get the ball out of bounds? So Matt Lafleur was asked about that play called at 2nd and 13 on the Dallas 16-yard line that goes to your running back, number 23, Emmanuel Wilson, resulting in there's like 28 seconds left in the clock, and suddenly it's down to 6 or 7.
No, we called a shot play. They played it based on how they played the play before, where the corner came flying up. We were trying to present the same look and throw a ball by him. And they played cover 2, and it was gloved. It was covered.
So I get what he's saying, because you set it up, and instead they didn't bite.
Yep, that's exactly it. And they have, Lafleur revealed something last night, maybe because he's kind of emotionally worked up. I mean, he's given out the information normally he doesn't. But he says, we're in O-zone at this point, which O-zone stands for out of bounds or in the end zone. Just get the ball out of bounds.
Right.
Which, that conflicts what you just did, dumping off that pass to Emmanuel Wilson over the numbers as opposed to hitting like a Wicks or a Dobbs or a Kraft, on the sideline. So Lafleur said on O-zone on that final drive, these last couple of downs, they should have been in their 2-minute offense when they're deep in Dallas territory like that.
We use the term O-zone, saying that it's got to go out of bounds or end zone, obviously with time remaining. And just the operation was just way too slow. Like, I don't know if our guys didn't know we were in 2-minute or what, but ultimately the communication's got to get better. Myself to Jordan to the huddle, and that's the bottom line.
Now, Mike, I saw there's a video where LaFleur's like winding his arm, like, come on. And it seemed like Jordan was somewhat in hurry up, but it was like there was no urgency there. They wasted 17 seconds watching this thing just wind down.
Another thing, Bill, 2 players told me in the locker room, 2 offensive players told me, I don't think half the guys knew that we were supposed to be in 2-minute. So like the whole herd wasn't, right. And I'm going to get to that point in terms of that drive. I just know that you talk to Jordan Love and say, okay, so why with about 28 seconds left on 2nd down, you're dumping off this ball to your running back, Emmanuel Wilson, over the numbers instead of the sidelines or the end zone, because you're supposed to be in O-zone.
Yeah, so we tried running a double move, kind of off the play. We ran right before that, and their defense, they were playing pretty soft. We didn't get the look we wanted, and so threw it to E. Was hoping we could make somebody miss, and we didn't. So obviously a moving clock situation. no timeouts left. We got to get a call in, and we had a good call on, and we just didn't execute it. I don't think everybody was on the same page with what needed to happen, and I was conscious of it. Matt was in my ear saying ozone. We knew before that it was going to be an ozone situation if we did get tackled in bounds. So, it's one of those situations where it took us the operation right there. It just took too long. We were wasting too much time right there, and that's really it.
Okay, so you're in ozone. Your coach is telling you you're in ozone, and still you throwing out to Emmanuel Wilson. And then, as you said, guys did not know they were in ozone. Matt Lafleur can't run on the field and tell everybody. Isn't that your quarterback's job?
Watching the tape now you've made that dump off pass to Emmanuel Wilson, and you look at the clock and it's tick, 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 tick. It maybe it's down to 15 and it's rolling. And to his credit, Love turns to the receivers to make sure they get it, what this next snap is going to be. We're just going to snap the ball. He makes an O with his hands.
Yep.
Okay, so he makes a handshake, ozone, which means, get out of bounds or get in the end zone. And that's this play to Matthew Golden is underneath the goalpost with two guys covering him in the back of the ozone with 6 seconds designed to go to him for a touchdown.
No, that's a play where, you don't really know what defense you're going to get right there. You're just trying to get on the ball, call as fast as possible, get on the ball, and get everybody to the end zone and take a shot right there. And so, you don't know what they're going to run right there. They end up going Tampa 2, and we got a shot to the end zone, and we just didn't hit on it.
I guess, Mike, I understand what he's saying. I completely do. But I go back to, you're in ozone. Why in the hell are you throwing a quick out instead of throwing it out of bounds to a guy that's behind the line of scrimmage? You're not doing anything. And then at that point, you start saying ozone, 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 which half the guys are still walking back to the huddle without a sense of urgency. It seems like that entire 34 seconds was an absolute cluster F.
Well, and they're going to have to work on this. And I'll tell you, honestly, when you're at these games, you're watching it live. Maybe you get a replay on stuff. You're going down elevators. You're waiting to get into locker rooms. You know that those guys are unwinding. They're having their post-game speeches, their meetings and all that. And sometimes it's hard to draw this information immediately without having a chance to make it out as best as you can. We tried the best we could in those post-game press conferences. To me, the overall feel of this thing, though, is we're not even talking about a chance to kick a tying field goal or a shot at a winning touchdown if you don't make this unbelievable clutch play on a 4th and 6 from the 24. And see, what I didn't understand was this, Bill. It's like, okay, we get the ball back, and the Dallas goes up 40-37. Now, you got the ball back with 4:40, and so you have a short shotgun pass to Wicks for 4 yards. Then you get called with Sean Ryan, the right guard, ineligible downfield pass. It nullifies another pass. And then a deep pass to Wicks, and I think that was out of bounds or not good. Whatever the case, you're at 4th and 6 with 3:50 left at your own 24. Got to have it. And Love backs up the pass. The protection's long enough. He finds Matthew Golden over the left hash for 14 yards. I mean, that's when you think, okay. And so then I asked Jordan after the game. So after that, when you cross the 50, don't you just, when you're in Dallas territory, don't you automatically go from these creative play calls to your 2-minute drill?
Yeah, 4th down, we had a pretty good play dialed up for what defense they're running. We were working MG in the middle. He was running a kind of a read route and was able to get the Mike running and opened up a hole right there for himself. So that play, I think was executed really well, and it got to have a situation right there. So then, like you said, after that, it does turn into that kind of 2-minute. You only got one timeout, so we got to go. We got to go and take some shots to the end zone.
Which, by the way, I want to back up. Matthew Golden did an amazing job of running off coverage, and then he saw the hole in the zone and sat. He didn't run around like maybe rookies will do. That was that play. The execution of that was fantastic. I go back to the play prior to that when you talk about that Dontavian Wicks, where they held the flag in their pocket. That was clearly pass interference, and the Packers should have got a freebie out of that, and they didn't. So anyway, moving forward, I completely get where you're coming from in that particular situation. Then going into 2-minute offense after that.
Yeah, and I saw that play through binoculars. I appreciate that information. So now the next thing you know is you're up 13-0, and you're kind of controlling things, and all of a sudden you get a blocked PAT, and then Dallas scores, and then now all of a sudden you're taking these risky plays, and you end up getting your quarterback in a strip sack, and Dallas scores again. They take the lead within 40 seconds of the game. So Matt Lafleur was asked, why were you trying to take a shot near the end of the first half that resulted in that Cowboys strip sack of Jordan Love, and Dallas able to score again to go in 16-13 at halftime?
On the strip sack? Okay. Well, then I misread it, obviously. I mean, my eyes in real time, my eyes are down on the defense. I'm not watching what's going on in the pocket. It's looking at the defense, looking at the coverage, trying to dissect and predict where, based on coverage, where the ball should go. So obviously didn't see it the right way. Yeah, we were trying to be aggressive, and it backfired, and it killed us.
Oh, okay. I mean, again, I said this before, Mike. It's kind of like when in the baseball vernacular, when Ken Maka was the manager of the Brewers, I would disagree with the call or disagree with what he had to say, but I'd go in and respect it because I understand philosophically what he's trying to get at. But it's like you could have just taken it in at half, still had the lead, been good to go, breathe a little. And I appreciate the aggressiveness, but I don't think that was the time to be aggressive.
Well, the question is, why are you taking shots downfield when the last two plays before that, they had 6 or 7 in the box because they're clearly trying to go after the quarterback and do exactly what they ended up doing, was get the ball back and score again and take the lead before the half?
Yep. And this was something going back to that was foreshadowed last week when the Cleveland Browns came after Jordan Love and they said, look at his numbers with pressure, look at his numbers without pressure. They said, this is the blueprint. They, quote, got to heat him up. And the more you heat him up, the more likely it is there is a mistake. And Chris Collinsworth said it last night during the broadcast that the Dallas Cowboys said in their meetings that he tends to hold onto the ball loosely and waggle it out there. So if you get a shot at getting close to him, get it, because he leaves the ball too exposed. And that was one of the things that they went at last night as well.
Schottenheimer and Eberflus watched the Browns game as well and wrote that down.
Nope. No, I completely get it. Mike, hang in there. We got a lot more of Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card this October for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to rake in a huge pile of cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at Potawatomi.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
On the hash mark, closest to you. Dak plays fake, looking. Here's Parsons chasing. Dak taking off. Parsons gets him. He comes down. He's down by contact. That is no gain. Would technically be called a sack.
It doesn't matter what it is. It is a touchdown saving play by Micah Parsons. I mean, he's going in. There's not a doubt in my mind. The corner had his back turned, just pure hustle and speed, and that's what you pay for.
Here are Micah and Jerry after the game.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pissed off. I'm very disappointed overall how we performed. I even told Jordan to the side, thank you for having our back today.
That game was probably a great game for the NFL as far as a showcase for the game and competition because you had outstanding quarterback play. You had some very talented people out there playing. You certainly had one of the most expensive players in the history of the NFL out there playing. It's very simple. Right. Dak was indispensable in my mind. Right. And Michael wasn't.
The return of Micah Parsons back into Dallas. Bittersweet. As we were hoping that there would be this game record coming in after the things that Jerry had said in the week leading up to, and they made sure that Micah Parsons was not going to be a major factor in this game, albeit at the very last minute when they needed him the most. Micah Parsons showed up and saved the game and did get that game-saving tackle, but it was still ultimately kind of a bad feeling leaving Dallas as the Packers tied with the Cowboys 40 apiece. Mike Clemens joining us in Dallas. Our insider, our Packers insider, and Micah Parsons did not mince words. I mean, he He was upset with the defense. He was upset with himself. He was upset at the outcome of this ballgame.
And you're absolutely right, Bill. That tackle behind Dak Prescott, I mean, the Cowboys are going to go up 44-37. Dak was going in for a touchdown. That turned out to be the only sack the Packers had as a defense all night long. But Micah says that TD saving sack that he put on Prescott in a 37-37 tie in overtime, that's who he is.
I'm here on this podium because I'm supposed to make that play, not because it's like, oh my God, he made a play. Like, I'm supposed to make that play. I'm supposed to help our defense. That's the reason why I was brought here. Like, making plays is what I'm supposed to do. Taking over games is what I'm supposed to do. I don't think that, like, I should be rewarded for that play. Like, that's the reason why I'm here. I just don't think we've been putting our best film out, and we just got to get better and fix the little things so that way when we get off this bye, we put a great performance at home. I think last week we played up to the standard. We was on the little things. Giving up 40 points, bro, like I don't care where we're playing. That's just unacceptable for me and everyone. Like, I'm not even pointing fingers, just like we got to find a way to get off the field, and we didn't do a great job at that tonight.
And they didn't do a good job of it in the last portion of the game against the Browns, to be quite honest with you. So here's the question: is the rumors were that was it heated, or Micah Parsons and Jeff Hafley discussing things after the ball game?
I don't know for sure. What I do know is this: last week I was the first guy in the visitors' locker room in Cleveland, and there's Jeff Hafley talking to 29 and number 1. He's talking to Xavier McKinney, his brains back there at safety, and he's talking to Micah Parsons. This guy's practically a defensive coordinator himself as your defensive end. And he's interviewing them about, things to be thinking about right after the game, getting information. So I got to imagine that those meetings were going again last night, but we had a long wait before we got in the locker room with closed doors. And so Micah Parsons was asked, why was he talking to Jeff Hafley in the locker room after the game last night?
We're just sitting down talking for 10, 15 minutes together post-game, and just like I said, bro, I want to meet with you one-on-one. That's the same thing I used to do with Zimmer, same thing I did with Dan Quinn, just about, like, what he sees, what I see, how we can scheme up. I'll take my personal time out of my way so that we can build that relationship together. But, it's something that I do want to hope throughout this bye week that we come back and we start doing more things together.
The big night last night was 2 offensive linemen down for the Cowboys, no CeeDee Lamb. You just cover Pickens and you should have a relatively good night. And Hobbs was bad. They weren't able to do that. It was just, and Tolbert makes that incredible catch. It was just the secondary wasn't good. And Dak also, give Dak credit because he got rid of the ball really quick last night in 2 seconds or less in a lot of different pass plays, which negated the pass rush. But, man, that secondary did not look good.
Dak made some incredible throws. Yeah. Pickens made some incredible catches. And then this Jalen Tolbert, where does he come from? He makes like a Jared. I was thinking Jared Cook, the tight end, made that catch to set up Mason Crosby for the winning field goal back in the day. So I talked to Evan Williams about, that Williams running back they had a pretty good night too. You didn't get to Dak Prescott. No CeeDee Lamb. And yet George Pickens has a big night. Jalen Tolbert makes that incredible Jared Cook-like catch. What was going on?
It's a little frustrating, right? You feel like you have a good coverage plan and, are able to bag most of those first routes, those first reads, and, the play kind of gets a little off script and, flips one up down the sideline and catches an explosive ball. I think it just comes down to the details, being able to plaster, whenever the down gets extended and just, overall just finishing. I feel like it's something that we could take away from that, when those plays extend to those last seconds. Those are the most important seconds because, those are when the big plays happen. So, it's definitely just a testament to us being definitely something that we can take going forward to, finish those plays and be in a better spot going forward.
The details, Mike, I thought were the finishing, and he brought it up, and so did Micah Parsons. I counted 14 missed tackles. Then again, I'm a little bit more liberal in the sense of, if you're in the area, you should be able to make a tackle, maybe 9 total, but still quite a few missed tackles last night. And you can't – Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. People want to – the only time I diss Dak Prescott is when he chokes in big moments in the postseason. But from point A to point B, 1 through 17, he's a hell of a quarterback.
He was a kid, and he took Tony Romo's job away from him. Yeah. Tony had another year or two left. He took the job away from him. And I thought this was interesting. On that incredible Tolbert catch, gets both toes in before he falls in the sideline down in the end zone. So there's Keyshawn Nixon, and he's tending to the goal line as opposed to playing he's trying to protect from 6 being scored. And I guess he must have never thought there's no way this guy's going to make that catch. Keyshawn, a little ticked at himself, a little ticked at the questions about, what did they do as a team, as a defense against Prescott and that offense?
What did we learn? Everybody gonna play ball just like we gonna play ball. Can't control that. We gotta come out and give it our best for real. We ain't lose, we ain't win. Tie, I guess. I ain't never had that, so it's my first tie ever. So cope with that. Does it feel more like a loss? I don't know. I just feel like my body hurt. I don't know.
Feels like my body hurts. I don't know if he means that metaphorically or if he means that literally or both, but I know my body hurt this morning when I woke up and looked at that game again, and I thought, knowing I'll tell you that.
The overall thing is this, Bill, except for maybe Dak Prescott, you own that Packers locker room, it was a loss.
Yeah.
And you're going into your bye with this goofy tie. There was no pride in that at all. And maybe because, this is the tables have turned after those first 2 wins and the world's calling you Super Bowl bound. And then you lose to the Browns. And then this thing happens. The wheels have come off. And you got to go into your bye with that.
Yeah.
And you get to come back home and you play the Bengals. But over on the other side, when your owner, Jerry Jones, he's got big smiles on his face. Hey, these guys beat us 5 times in a row in my own stadium here. It's the first time we staved off a blowout, and they were like relieved over there. Dak Prescott asked, what do you think about this game ending in a tie?
You don't play the game for ties. I've told you before, I don't care about the stats. I don't care about the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. I just care about the end result and the win. And so when you don't get that, right now it's tough for me, guess 10 years in, the first tie I've been a part of, it's hard to kind of wrap my head around it because I know I feel a hell of a lot worse if it was a loss. But I'm not satisfied. Not that I would be if we won, but it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, I think everybody is waking up today with a weird feeling. And just, like I said, Packers offensively, I think, for 4 quarters, for the most part, weren't bad. They put up points. They were able to get touchdown drives. They had the gaff, the turnover that ultimately cost them. Between the turnover and then the blocked PAT, those 2 things ultimately cost them a ball game. But man, you wake up today just feeling weird about it.
Jordan Love threw for 337 yards and a quarterback rating of 118. And you know what the difference was? The defense did not dominate this game.
Mm-hmm.
They did. The Packers defense, they didn't get the takeaways. They got the 1 sack. Something was different there. By the way, Devontae Wyatt, your great speedy inside defensive lineman, he had to leave the game with a knee injury. And then you get over the other side, and there's Kenny Clark. And he's got a big grin on his face. Because you know what? He was there telling the Cowboys, Matt Eberflus and the defense, everything they needed to know about Jordan Love and the offense. And so he was asked, he admitted that some of those passes to the flats to Josh Jacobs, number 8, coming out of the backfield, was something that they didn't plan on. But Kenny Clark, your former Packer, talked about, did the Packers offense surprise you guys at all tonight?
Yeah, it was all the same. Same stuff we expected. They threw a lot of screens, though. 1, 2, and 1 is way better than 1 and 3. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the right side of it.
That's it. He's right. 1, 2, and 1 is better than 1 and 3. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. We got another segment of the Bill Michaels Show on a Green and Gold Monday yet to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The power of friendship has spawned a memorable baseball season in Milwaukee. When you choose to work with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the relationship is more than what feels like having a friend. Pella honors trust and commitment on your behalf before, during, and after the sale. They take those values to heart with every person the Pella team works with. It's natural to feel a little apprehensive about about having someone visit your home, but take it from me and my wife. The brilliant Pella designers immediately put you at ease with their experience and professionalism. We love that initial visit, along with how easy they made it to envision bringing our project to life. Pella is committed to being the company everyone wants to do business with, and they've certainly lived up to that and more. And with this month's incredible deal, Gina Della from Pella is here to share why you shouldn't wait to order new windows and doors.
Order today and get 0% interest for up to 60 months. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 9/30/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Another tremendous drive. And give Jordan Love credit. That play was special.
Manis has the extra point block, and the Cowboys try to take it back for two with Marquise Bell. The Dallas on the board with a two-pointer off the blocked extra point. Remember the field goal block late in regulation last week against the Packers by the Browns. Main reason Green Bay lost the game in Cleveland. Here it cost them 2 points as Bell brings it back after it's blocked by Wanye Thomas. 13-2 Packers.
All of our guests appear on the Schneider Orange Hotline. Schneider hiring drivers right now to go to 844 Pride or SchneiderJobs.com. Mike Clemens also brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Call them BayMotelGreenBay.com. That's BayMotelGreenBay.com. So, Mike, it just ended. It was such a disjointed game. I don't even know where to go from here.
Matt Lafleur asked after the game, after you get that blocked field goal attempt in Cleveland, how did you get a PAT block tonight against the Cowboys?
You got to go back and you got to practice and you got to do a better job. We got to do a better job in practice. That's disappointing, obviously, 2 weeks in a row where you have a kick blocked. I thought we did a lot of good things throughout the course of the week to try to correct the problem. Obviously, it wasn't enough.
Going into the bye week 1-1 that's not at all on anybody's bingo card for the Green Bay Packers for the first portion of this season. That's for sure.
No, or your star running back, Josh Jacobs, leaving toward the end of the game with a knee injury. He got gashed big time in the knee. They had to do stitches for him. It happened on his second touchdown. But, we say to Josh, I'll tell you what they're doing today, Bill. They're having meetings. They're interviewing players like Micah Parsons, and then they're going to self-scout. The coaches are going to be very busy during this bye week. And Josh Jacobs says, going into the bye week with a record of 2-1-1, what's it feel like to have a game end with a tie?
Weird. Honestly, that's the only way I can really explain it. I think the stuff before the half, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with. We came out and, tried to battle. Had a chance to still win it at the end of the game. Got to find a way, to pull those out.
And that's true. I mean, it feels weird. It feels like it feels so deflating, Mike. I guess had they lost the game, that's one thing. But today, with the expectations being so high and everybody talking about them boat racing this team and the Cowboys aren't that good, to come back with a tie just feels like bleh. It's like a punch to the gut.
So you've got some time for Zach Tom and Aaron Banks to get back on the offensive line. That'll help. And, even with Josh Jacobs there with his knee injury, Devontae Wyatt at defensive line. So these guys to recover. Then that's it.
Yeah.
That's your bye, and then you're running through the rest of the regular season and into the postseason. And you come back in a couple of weeks on a Sunday to take the Bengals up in Green Bay. Other than that, do we have time? Would you like me to run down the menu that we had in the press box last night?
We got 20 seconds.
We're running short on time. Oh, well, I'll catch you next time with that, Bill.
All right, bud. We'll talk to you. Mike Clemens in Dallas. Time for us to go until we talk again.